The story begins with the image of the Hound of the Baskerville clan, Vikier van Baskerville, a man with long scars across his face, weathered by countless battles and always standing on the razor's edge between life and death. True to his name, he served his family and his father with everything he had. But now Vikier has been falsely accused of colluding with the demon race. He is kneeling there, a collar around his neck just beneath the guillotine. Vikier has been sentenced to death. The tether is cut. The blade falls and blood spurts as the head drops. The white-haired man standing there is the patriarch of the Baskerville family. He watches coldly as crows dive in to tear at the flesh of one of his hounds. Just before execution, Vikier swore to himself that if he could live again, after he had bitten his prey to death, he would never live the life of a hound again. Bright red drops of the hound's blood, the blood of the Baskerville line, fall one by one into the still water. The scene suddenly shifts. Moonlight pierces a dark room where an inscrutable cradle rests. It looks like a nursery. The babies lie in their cradles and cry without stop. Only the child in the middle stares up wide-eyed, wondering where he is. With his consciousness intact, the boy feels and asks himself. His body is heavy. The surroundings are noisy. No, this cannot be. Is this hell? The answer is, this is the domain of the Baskerville clan, a great, sturdy castle on the plains, a demonstration of the power of the Iron Blood Sword family. Inside the nursery, the children wail on and on when one cries. The whole lot cry. The patriarch Hugo Le Baskerville stands there frowning in discomfort, muttering, "Pathetic lot." Hugo walks up and down, hands in his pockets and complaining that there is not a single special child here. He thinks they're all rejects. Unconsciously, he stops before one cradle, glances over and grunts. This child seems to have attracted him. Hugo looks, then ponders a while, then looks down at the child lying there and appraises. This reject seems quieter. Hugo orders a servant, "Bring this child to the sword rack," and of course the man responds with respect, "Yes, my lord." The boy's eyes suddenly widen, a red gleam flashing as he looks toward Hugo, thinking to himself that the very culprit who accused and killed him stands before him. The powerful man in front of him, the celebrated patriarch of the Iron Blood Sword clan, is Hugo Le Baskerville. The small hand he raises to look at himself, now he is a scion of Hugo, Vikier van Baskerville, reborn as a child. Vikier remembers his past life. He lived as a hound, an illegitimate son, trained in the worst conditions. A dog must do whatever it takes to complete tasks: assassination, reconnaissance, ambush, intimidation. A dog does all the dirty work to help the Baskerville family become one of the 7 great clans. The reason Vikier was loyal was simple. He wanted recognition from the family and from Hugo. 10 years after the gate to the demon realm opened, the war with the demon race ended with humanity's victory, and the reward given to the hound who had devoted himself was abandonment. Vikier was executed by guillotine, the very scene we saw at the beginning, because the hound had come to know too much. Back in the present, little Vikier now raises his tiny fist and vows he will never live that life again. He writhes in the wooden cradle with thoughts of immediate revenge, but with this newborn body there is nothing he can do. He lies prone, eyes knitted with hatred but full of resolve. Vikier thinks, being brought to the sword rack is a good chance to grow strong. Now what's necessary is to become stronger. The Baskerville sword rack is a place where sharp blades are planted close together. Children born into the Baskerville clan must pass through it in one attempt. They are thrown into a maze of blades, and after surviving they must go to the river Styx to test their mettle. The Styx is the legendary river that forges children's bodies into iron and steel, yet only some endure. A diagram forms in Vikier's memory, and he begins to calculate. To reach the Styx he must first pass through thousands of blades. The scene moves to the sword rack, where the young Vikier has been brought. The boy is trying to wriggle between the blades to crawl forward. He does not hesitate to grip the sharp steel with his skinny arms. He recalls that in his prior life he failed alongside his siblings and could not achieve the result. But this time will be different. Vikier is receiving direct attention from the patriarch himself, who stands watching while the retainers gape in astonishment at Vikier's performance. Across the sticks, aside from Hugo's composure as patriarch, everyone else is shocked to see the boy crawl into the river. Vikir tells himself he will monopolize as much of the Styx' blessing as possible. The pale mana water is shifting, tinged now with the red of blood. Vikir sinks slowly. The blood from wounds sustained crawling through the blade maze flows out and mixes into the stream. While the water soaks through his flesh and bones via those wounds, Vikir had not imagined it would be so effective. He clamps his hands over his nose and mouth to keep air from escaping and, with fierce determination, tries to hold his breath as long as possible. He does not know how much pain this will bring, but he must endure it. On the bank, two retainers shout anxiously down, "Young master, you must get out. You'll die if you stay in the water any longer. Pull him out. We must pull him out." Unlike them, Hugo is calm and smiles coldly, finding it immensely entertaining. He then asks Barrymore, "How long has that brat been in the river?" John Barrymore, the steward of the Baskerville house, replies, 7 minutes, my lord." Hearing that, Hugo steps forward with a smile. 7 minutes? Huh, he's probably dead. The retainer startles and says, "My lord?" He steps up and looks down at the water, where bubbles are gurgling up. Hugo calls out, "Son, you can come up now." Below, Vikir hears it, but is still forcing himself to hold his breath. He recognizes Hugo's voice and thinks, "Do you think I will give up so easily?" Vikir keeps drawing in the Styx' spirit essence with the thought that he must absorb it to the last drop. But a child's strength has limits. Vikir then opens his mouth with a few choking gasps. Air that had been trapped rushes out. His eyes roll white and his body floats listless in the water. Even so, thoughts keep echoing in his head. I must endure, I must endure, I must hold on, yet consciousness begins to fade. The stream of bubbles rising from Vikir's body grows scant, and after a while a hand lifts his foot out of the Styx. Hugo looks at Vikir in his hand with amusement and says, "Look at this little one, being in the Styx is not enough for him. He wants more to drink." He peers into the boy's mouth and notices that he already has teeth. Hugo asks, "What is the name of this child?" Steward John answers, "He is young Master Vikir van Baskerville, my lord." Hearing the name, Hugo repeats it with a cold smile, Vikir. Looking at the boy in his arms, temporarily unconscious from having drunk the Styx, Hugo remarks, "It seems I have a proper son at last." Vikir still clings to his vengeful resolve and allows himself a moment of joy. Hugo. The gruesome, feral image of the hound's head flashes before him, and he vows, "Now I need time to sharpen my fangs, and when the time comes I will bite your head to pieces." The furious face from the past combined with the present child's immaturity creates a stark contrast, but the hatred remains unchanged. He tells himself that the Baskerville clan will be erased from history by his own hand. Vikir van Baskerville. Each scream bursting forth carried tremendous shockwaves far and wide. Ah, impossible. Meanwhile, Jenna still followed Seo Jin's lead. He was checking a shield right in the middle of all this chaos. Should I do the same? Finally, unable to endure anymore, she decided to voice a series of questions. "You know what's about to happen next, don't you? Why do we need weapons? Where are we? And what is that little fairy?" The reply was his indifference. "You really do have many things to ask. But right now just charge into battle and kill all the enemies. As for the rest, you'll have to find the answers yourself." Just as these words ended, a grim notification appeared. Marilyn 1 star has returned to the embrace of the goddess. Her battle soul will be honored to eternity. Clearly Seo Jin was already familiar with this mechanism. Damn it. While Jenna still had no clue what happened. It seemed that in that space rift existed something so terrifying that a series of similar reports followed. Calcuo, Lanto and Jackson 1 star have returned to the embrace of the goddess. Their battle souls will be honored to eternity. The battle time was so short that Seo Jin realized, is this why they are only 1 star? Jenna kept asking, What just happened? only to be silenced harshly by him. Quiet. Until the last one, who was also the leader of the group, stepped up. Lyle 1 star has returned to the embrace of the goddess. Party 1 was completely wiped out. Seo Jin pondered. Wiped out? That fast? While Usul raged furiously. Useless, already dead to the last one at just the first floor. And clearly Waitiver did not intend to end the game while there were still remaining people. Set up formation. Forming teams of heroes. Han, Jenna, Dazzle, Grit and Gale have joined Party 1. The previous outcome made Usul furious. The rest of you, go to battle. Seo Jin spoke up, unclear to whom. It's our turn now. While Jenna still confused in the list, why haven't any of those who went before returned yet? Suddenly Dazzle stepped forward and pleaded. Fairy, I suffer from arthritis, so I can't move much. Please exclude me from the party, causing Jenna to glare. But just now you were walking fine. The old man snapped. It just relapsed. Usul paid no attention. Damn these fools. Without the slightest concern or need to urge, Seo Jin directly led the way alone toward the front. Seeing this, Jenna of course would not back down and pulled Dazzle along. Just go. We will try to fight and survive. But he stubbornly resisted. I already said I have arthritis. Usul shouted loudly again. Shut up and get ready. Both Gale and Grit moaned. What does she want us to prepare for? I've never held a spear. Seeing them being so obedient, Usul finally returned to her previous cheerful and adorable demeanor. Good luck, everyone. Yet despite being dragged along, Dazzle still stubbornly acted. I think I have a stomachache now. Let me go. Until all the noises behind ceased. At last they officially stepped into another world through the space rift. Since it was their first time here, no surprise that curiosity and amazement filled the faces of Gale and Jenna. Questions poured out one after another at the bizarre yet chillingly solid sight of the structure. Where is this? A temple? They quickly discovered rows of pitch-black characters as if not yet activated. What do these words say? As if to calm them. At this moment news from the system popped up. Your current challenge floor is floor 1 of the main dungeon. Number of floors climbed in the Savior's Dungeon Tower is 0. The door is open. Please prepare. A violent surge of energy like a raging storm swept across along with Seo Jin's roar. Don't lose focus. It's starting. Not stopping there. The gate before them exploded with such an intense light it could engulf the entire wide area. In just moments, the cold scenery was replaced with the image of nature and a gentle breeze. They were directly transported into another dimension without knowing. Naturally, everyone was extremely panicked. Gale could not help but blurt out a question. Where is this place? Clenching his hands tightly as Seo Jin replied. Where else could it be? We are on the battlefield. A terrifying group of level 3 goblins mixed with fresh blood appeared right in front at the moment floor 1 description popped up. Type of mission: subjugation. Objective: eliminate all enemies. Witnessing their horror, this time Sweat broke out coldly on him with his advice. I already told you, fight and you live, don't and you die, so lift your head and... Unfortunately, before the encouragement was finished, the group of Gale showed exactly what fear meant in the face of unknown events, causing Seo Jin's anger to erupt. What the hell? Jenna 1 star panicked and reduced all stats by 30%, screamed. Hey old man, I thought you said you had arthritis. Unexpectedly, Dazzle cheerfully admitted with a panicked face, just recovered. Clearly not only Jenna, but the men like Dazzle, Grit and Gale 1 star were also panicking. All stats reduced by 30% and ended up crashing into something massive. Seeing such a scene, she was instantly startled in shock. A wall. Meanwhile, the panicked group trying to flee complained. Why can't we get out? Oh my back, let me out, I need to take a dump. No longer bothering with excuses, Dazzle used all his strength to pound on the object blocking the escape path of more than half of Party 1. What is this wall? Erase it now. Sharing the same fate and planning to charge into battle, Seo Jin couldn't help but furrow his brows tightly witnessing that scene. What a disgrace. While Dazzle's group cried out and he despised it, only the sole girl in the team, Jenna, after a long silence finally spoke. Han. She directly went to the main and most essential issue right then. Can we escape if we defeat all the goblins? There was no definite answer for her. Seo-jin and Jenna just threw themselves into preparing for battle with him, asking, "Can you use a bow? My father was a hunter, you know. I'll charge in head-on while you support from behind with arrows. Can you do it? Let's go." But she could not help but hesitate for the group of Dazzle abandoning their teammates. What about them? Seo-jin understood what she meant and coldly responded, "Don't care about them. They're just useless." For some unknown reason during the time Party 1 did all sorts of things, the goblins had just stood still ignoring them, and only now opened their wide mouths full of sharp teeth to hiss. Seeing this, he braced his body and growled with tremendous volume to announce, "Here they come." That sight alone was enough to make anyone falter. Yet Seo-jin still decisively charged straight into battle, despite never having once swung a sword or used a shield before. Completely unlike the former Party 1 members and the group of Dazzle, though his spirit was tense, Seo-jin still gripped his weapon tightly to gamble against the terrifying monsters. On his sweat-drenched face, his eyes shone with the determination and resolve of a warrior. His name was Hanuslat, but his real name was Han Seo-jin. A fierce charge from the goblins overflowing with impact made it clear this was no dream, and it seemed he had entered a damned game where everything was just about luck. In this moment of extreme tension, while the three others held their heads, Jenna did not hesitate to follow closely behind him, firing supportive arrows. Until now, the stage had yet to be cleared, so the space rift separating the two worlds had not yet opened. Pick Me Up, an engaging mobile game released by a studio under the globally renowned Morbius Corporation. The goal of the game is to conquer a 100-floor tower. The system will support the heroes by generating materials and building a base, and the player must sweep the tower clean by using strategy and tactics. And clearly just yesterday, Seo-jin was still living a normal life, immersed in the news that Pick Me Up had reached 100 million downloads, with offers such as receiving 100 gems for logging in from January 27th to February 5th, and the chance to obtain 1,000 gems. The second perk was that the master gained one additional premium hero summon guaranteed at least 3 stars, and at the end of the event a new floor of high difficulty would appear. Looking at the third item given by the publisher, he could not help but sigh in front of the screen. "A new dungeon has appeared," then muttered his evaluation. "This trashy game finally has a decent event." The ranking of heroes ranged from 1 up to a maximum of 7 stars, and Seo-jin was an extremely unlucky man who, despite having used thousands of free summons, had never once received a hero above 5 stars, so the arrival of this event made him determined. The dungeon could drop destiny scrolls at a low rate, the necessary item to create a 7-star hero. There was no reason not to participate. Pick Me Up differed from other character-nurturing games in that it imposed harsh rules, no matter how much affection and care you gave to a hero. Once they died, they could not be revived, making Seo-jin reflect, meaning whether 1 star or 6 stars, a dead character was finished, forcing players to scout dungeons first with expendable lineups. And then, after the announcement of the new dungeon opening popped up, a series of red frames indicating emergency continuously flashed. Warning, all 38 party members were terrified. The stats of 6-star Diora, Nicholas, Kent, Akla, and Melky dropped by 30%. 6-star Diora suggested retreat, making Seo-jin doubtful for a moment. What are they afraid of? Well, it doesn't matter, I just need to watch the boss's attack pattern. Even though they carried high ranks, clearly something terrifying was present as the messages continued. 6-star Diora is anxious. And then Seo-jin noticed the pitch-black silhouette that had slaughtered his entire team. Level 999. What is that? A bug. Meanwhile, the system announced, "You have failed," with a face showing no change at the result. He attributed the appearance from Mobius with a remark, clearly a system error. While a barrage of notifications poured in, 6-star Diora, Nicholas, and Kent have returned to the embrace of the goddess. Their battle souls will be honored for eternity. Seo-jin, being the player, maintained a calm tone. They were wiped out before I could even see its attack pattern. I didn't gain anything. Who would have thought that a normal RPG would turn into a master of horror? The Mobius he thought was a bug suddenly enlarged its original face like a demon pressed against the screen. I see you. Instantly, even someone as unshaken as Seo Jin had to endure a chilling cold running down his spine. What is this? Another attack form of it. The game should have ended already. Night fell without warning, and he panicked to the point of shouting. What? I can't see anything. Astonishingly, a prompt appeared out of nowhere. Create a new account and choose a name of 2 to 6 characters, leaving Seo Jin dumbfounded. An account. What is this saying? What is this? Without giving him time to react, the system added, the name Whatever is available. Will you use this name? Making him sluggishly analyze. Whatever, is it trying to spell whatever? I didn't type anything. What is it doing? It just agreed on its own. A sequence of actions clearly not performed by Seo Jin's hands kept playing out as if some third person had logged into the game. Whatever. Welcome to the world of Pick Me Up. Will you play the tutorial? After completion you will receive a reward. And then after all these bizarre scenes, Seo Jin finally widened his eyes to their limit. Next, clearly Whatever had chosen to join the tutorial stage upon entering the game, at a small village in the Haim territory. Here there was a boy named Hana Slat. Seo Jin was stunned at the intense scene around him. What? This is. The story continued. In the peaceful land of both humans and non-humans, Taunir, a mysterious enemy had invaded this tranquil continent. Master, if you want to save the world, climb the tower. Countless heroes will stand by your side. As these heroic words ended, suddenly something caused a sound on the fire-stained wall, drawing the attention of a man whose nerves were taut like Seo Jin. Not stopping there, the system announced Tutorial Mission 1, defeat the goblins invading the village. At this point he only wanted to keep a blank face. Goblins, doubtful. What is this message? Finally Seo Jin realized he was no longer in his beloved room, and none of this was a dream. His face full of fear on the verge of screaming. Could this be real? But not long after he recognized this was indeed reality, the moment the ferocious goblin lunged. With the instinct to resist as a human, the sword in his hand instantly transformed into a shield against the ferocity. Seo Jin's face poured cold sweat continuously as tension reigned supreme. And more than that, on the other side of the screen Whatever received a notification. The battle will begin automatically. Watch as the hero's artificial intelligence system carries out an advanced fight. Just a familiar simulation for the player, but the one truly suffering was him. In the crisis of possibly being annihilated at any moment, the sharp blade swung straight and quickly claimed the monster's head. Clearly no stage ever had only one goblin, so Seo Jin shouted loudly as if gathering all his courage. Blood sprayed everywhere as the slaughter unfolded. But he could not remember the feeling of killing another living creature. Until the moment everything ended, Seo Jin carried a body full of red and received the message of clearing the stage. Han 1 star leveled up. Reward is being sent. Please check your mailbox. A series of doubts piled up inside him. What is happening? Is this inside the game or what? Not long after, suddenly Seo Jin was overwhelmed for a moment by the scene right before his eyes. As a player who had grinded to the point of owning a 6-star character just to use once, of course he would notice the difference here. This familiar scenery is Pick Me Up. Along with the next second came a series of instructions. Master, before proceeding to the next stage, please try summoning an ally. Please tap the Summon tab in your menu. Special first-time service. Sending 500 gems needed for 1 premium summon. Making Seo Jin panic and shout out loud, what the hell is happening? Without letting him recover in time, the door before his eyes opened and exploded with a burst of holy light. How congratulatory it was when Master Whatever had successfully obtained the super rare 4-star reshape. Witnessing everything while his mind ran endlessly, he was dumbfounded when he realized, summon, that was a summon. Does it mean I was summoned the same way? As if a hero summoned for the player of Pick Me Up, Shay Registry, bearing the knight profession and high skills, glanced over and raised the question, I have been summoned, who are you? Hearing such a question made him stammer unconsciously. Hana Seo Jin, she sternly introduced herself, I am Shay Registry, a knight, Ha Hanaseo Jin. What a strange name, making him break into cold sweat and hurriedly correct. No, Hanaseo Jin. Clearly the journey just entering the game was not yet intended to stop. Try forming a party with any hero, drag and drop heroes into the formation tab, and create a unique team. Master, Han 1-star and Shay 4-star are now a team. Next, Master Waitiver put both of them into the dungeon again. Unlike Seo Jin, who had never wielded a sword, the 4-star hero Shay wiped out all 5 goblins in a flash. You are a newbie. You don't look like one at all, he immediately shouted. This is my first time. In just a moment, this scene truly displayed the absolute gap in skill, because between them there was a 3-star difference. So he had nothing left to say when the message came. Stage cleared. Shay 4-star leveled up and is MVP. Reward is being sent. Please check your mailbox. But the problem was what came after. When the system continued, Master, the heroes have bravely completed their battle. The final tutorial awaits you. The way to make heroes stronger is synthesis. The door has opened. Please tap the synthesis tab in your menu. Once a player, now a Seo Jin, knew very well what was waiting for him in the near future. I'm done for. To better support Waitiver, Usel appeared at this very moment with overflowing ferocity, urging, "Hey you, aren't you going? Master is waiting." Unexpectedly, all expressions on his face suddenly turned into stillness like a flat surface of water without ripples. Then, as if remembering something, Seo Jin panicked, wanting to confirm, Usel. Being a virtual character yet acting like this made her dumbfounded. That's right, I am Usel. No, wait, how? How do you know my name? What are you? As soon as he got the information he needed, his face once again returned to calmness. Of course I know her, because I played Pick Me Up a lot. And he slowly said, me, Han Seo Jin, causing no small confusion for Usel. Han Seo Jin, impossible, not Hanuslat. What? Why do you look different from the picture? Han Uslat, born in Taunir on the high map, doesn't look like that. The more she spoke, the more it fueled his annoyance. I am Han Seo Jin, born in Seoul, Gangseogu. Now take me back while I'm still talking politely. At this point Usel realized the scariest thing inside a game. Impossible. You came from Earth. Seo Jin really wanted to be speechless, or else from Mars. A silence enveloped, and right after was a crisis by no means small when she screamed, how the hell could this happen? I'm going crazy. No longer caring, Usel directly shouted straight into the matter. Now you just go in first. Of course Seo Jin opposed. No, if I go in I'll die. Clearly she ignored. You can't die, you'll just be synthesized, he shouted just as loud. That's the same. Unfortunately, no matter how much he tried, Seo Jin's strength was clearly no match for Usel. Anyway, just go in. As a character who voluntarily led the way into the synthesis place first, Shay cast her gaze over at the guy collapsed before her and gave one evaluation. So noisy. Without letting Seo Jin stand up, the announcement sounded again. Master, begin synthesis. A stream of light immediately enveloped his hand. Watching his body gradually turn into mist made his face pale because he understood clearly. Damn it. It started. The synthesis chamber is the place to increase power by combining two heroes together. One of the two heroes becomes the sacrifice to raise the stats of the other. In this process, the other character will certainly be destroyed. What Seo Jin feared most now was exactly what was happening. When the issue was that he had transmigrated into a 1-star hero, Han Uslat, and Shay was a 4-star knight. A normal player had no reason to save Seo Jin and destroy her. Despair mixed with faint hope pressed directly onto a mind that had never gone through such terrifying events. Am I about to die? Who would be stupid enough to synthesize a 4-star hero into a 1-star hero? Who would have thought right when the word synthesis complete rang? Seo Jin's body remained intact there along with his incomprehension. So it's over. Turns out a higher level character being synthesized in was real when Shay was disappearing into the light. Though he survived, he still couldn't believe it. Why did she disappear? It doesn't make sense. She's a 4-star hero and I'm just 1 star. Indeed, the difference between the two was revealed clearly through how they reacted to her disappearance, which was also the most critical moment. Shay just calmly gave an explanation. I wasn't chosen, that's all. Finally, before leaving the place he had just arrived, she didn't forget to leave behind a gentle smile shining brighter than the sun hanging high. I'll leave the rest to you, Han. The last words fell as Shay officially dissolved into foam and melted into nothingness. The cold sweat from the previous moment still lingered on Seo Jin's face, proving what just happened was real and not fake. I don't understand anything. Returning to the moment when he and the party participated in sweeping the tower. Grit 1 star had returned to the embrace of the goddess. His fighting spirit will be remembered forever. Ignoring the catastrophic fate of comrades, clearly Gale and Dazzle still insisted on fleeing despite the advice from Seo Jin and Jenna. Don't be careless, if you do that you'll die. Old man, fight, a monster is chasing. No longer having time to care too much about them. Whatever, after all he had been through so far, Seo Jin had survived. The way to synthesize heroes is drag and drop. It was designed for players to drag the sacrificed hero into the remaining hero. Though his hands were busy with the motions, he was still lost in thought about Waitiver's actions. Maybe that person slipped or was playing without thinking. I got lucky when Shay was destroyed because of a stupid mistake of the master. Not unexpected with this crappy game. After struggling for a while, Seo Jin finally shouted. Then what about the last two? Jenna, carrying strength and courage no less than anyone, responded, I will take one. But the others, for this matter he didn't need to think before denying. Think later, and that's that. But this distraction succeeded in creating an opportunity for a level 3 goblin to swing an axe in an ambush. The excruciating pain tearing his chest directly made Seo Jin roar loudly. He didn't know why he was summoned in to pick me up. But Seo Jin knew one thing. He was summoned as the 1-star hero Hana Slat. Regardless of the changes in his right hand, the solid wooden shield quickly slammed onto the monster's face. You bastard! Dark fragments of memory resurfaced. Right before entering this world, the bugged level 999 monster was laughing loudly. Now, he could confirm while forcefully pulling his hand out of the goblin's mouth. It's that bastard. I'm sure it dragged me here. The overwhelming pressure burst into an explosion and made Seo Jin officially ignite in a grotesque way full of terror. You messed with the wrong person. Until the final monster, also the one that dealt the most damage to him, was slain, Seo Jin was exhausted and sat straight down on the hard ground. Only Jenna remained, though her body was a bit battered, clearly not as bad as him. Her eyes filled with worry. Your arm, Seo Jin coldly replied. When I return, I'll be fine. Players don't have much say in battle, because most battles are carried out automatically by the heroes. Even so, the game still attracted more than 100 million downloads globally. The clearer reason was because they could observe this world like a god. Waitiver's eyes could enjoy this massacre without caring about anything. Facing humanity, delighting in the performance just like he once did. Seo Jin felt no fear, but instead sneered and muttered even knowing the other side couldn't hear. Fun, isn't it? He too was a player who liked the game Pick Me Up, creating items, strategy, tactics, nurturing heroes and finding hidden elements, even calling it a crappy game, Don't Give Up. And Seo Jin at this moment had fully regained the calm mindset of Loki ranked 5th in the world. The player even known as the Master of Masters declared, watch me survive to the end. The final outcome when the stage clear message rang, Jenna 1 star leveled up. Waitiver received a reward of 2,000 gold, 2 iron and copper ores, stones, and finally the MVP was Han 1 star. After the battle on the first floor ended, temporary peace arrived in the game under the account name Waitiver, giving time for Seo Jin to be forced to accept this. This was the moment he had to stop acting like a child, because he clearly understood the current situation was that he was inside Pick Me Up, born and summoned as a 1-star hero. Here there were 2 ways for a hero to die, death in battle or through synthesis, and what was truly terrifying was that Seo Jin was only a 1-star hero, hopeless within Pick Me Up. We were nothing more than props, the most useless props. The stats of Seo Jin's Hano slot had just leveled to 5, and he did not even have a class. His stats were terrible and his growth potential extremely low. At this rate he would not be able to escape the danger of being synthesized. I have to become stronger, survive, take revenge, and return. If I do not get stronger, then that is nothing but a fantasy. Seo Jin did not know how things would continue from here. If he did not adapt quickly, then he would die and be swallowed. This reminded me of military service, damn it. In the current situation, just being strong in physical body was not enough. Seo Jin persistently trained without pause because he also had to become strong in mind. It was clear he could not survive without being able to remain calm. He strained his body with intense exercise along with bowls of soul broth for his mind. I still managed to grow up without parents or anyone to protect me. Try to remember that struggle. A series of movements showed no sign of stopping, as if Seo Jin wanted to squeeze every drop of potential out of himself. Witnessing from A to Z, Jenna could not suppress her curiosity and came to ask, "What are you doing?" Seeing a familiar face, Seo Jin did not plan to stop his movements and even managed both things at once. Training to kill monsters? What? Those blunt words irritated her. Why are you acting so rude? I came all this way to find you. The next moment after Jenna finished speaking, silence fell. Her eyes filled with emotions difficult to distinguish. Then she slowly stepped forward and picked up the weapon most familiar to her. I thought all last night about what I need to do from now on. First of all, we cannot escape from here, can we? Because my father was a hunter, I often liked to shoot arrows whenever I had free time. I will not hinder you. I think nothing will change if I just do nothing but cry. With her experience and outstanding talent, it was not difficult at all for Jenna at the moment she hit the bullseye. You know how to survive here, don't you? Without answering that question, Seo Jin instead asked, "Was yesterday your first real battle?" She firmly confirmed, "Yes, I just stayed at home all day." Though he already saw it clearly, he still asked, "Then how do you use a bow?" Jenna humbly replied, "Decent." Seo Jin's sharp gaze passed over and analyzed her information. From there he could not help but be a little surprised and gave a high evaluation of the only person who decided to fight with him. I guess she just increased 4 stats after yesterday. In the case her growth is lower than mine, but in return she has a crucial skill, even though she is only 1 star. Even though she was a bit clumsy since it was her first real battle, she could still kill a goblin. She seemed unwilling to throw her life away and even had a clear goal of what to do next. Truly a diamond in the rough. Seo Jin had no hesitation to agree. "All right, I will help you." And then an arm whose owner was unclear reached out. It turned out to be Jenna who, after being acknowledged for her ability, smiled brightly. "My father once told me that if I wanted to survive I had to choose someone to follow. He was a good father, wasn't he? Entirely different from the chilling dread of facing death." This moment the sweat flowing down Seo Jin's face was the result of his efforts and gave him time to carefully weigh each of Jenna's words. Not letting her wait too long to the point of awkwardness, since he had already agreed, he decisively marked their cooperation. Sealed by her cheerful words, "I really look forward to being your teammate, Appa." This news was even engraved by the system. Jenna 1 star has goodwill with Han 1 star. The friendship between the two has been created. Heroes befriending another will gain bonus rewards when in the same party, making Seo Jin thoughtful. This message was a little worrying. After things ended, and he temporarily finished exhausting himself to the limit. "Usul, are you here?" Such a shout from Seo Jin naturally easily drove someone as hot-tempered as her crazy. "Ah, what now? I am busy." He did not hesitate to honestly tease. "You appeared faster than someone busy." Clearly knowing what Seo Jin wanted to ask, or perhaps annoyed by being disturbed too often, Usul directly spilled a string. "No matter how many times you ask me, I will not answer. If you are curious, then climb the tower yourself. The answers are all inside the tower." But this time he changed. "Am I the only one who can see the status window above your head?" Just those 19 words alone, and he successfully shut her mouth in an instant. Next was a denial that was basically pointing straight at herself for lying. "You? What are you saying?" I do not know what you are talking about," Seo Jin confirmed. "I can clearly see it says 257. Finally Usul stammered out a chaotic string. I guess you can see it right. Is it because your existence has been upgraded? When they become one? Ah, I should not have said that. But it was enough for him to understand. I was sure after seeing her reaction. I am the only one who can see the game's messages and the master's messages. Thus Seo Jin once again went straight to the main topic and really asked something necessary. Usul, what would we have to do if the master abandoned the game? Usul resentfully replied, Master, just pray that does not happen. He could not help but sink into detailed analysis. The accident happened when Master Waitover tried to synthesize me and Shay. That was not a normal accident. A 4-star ended by being synthesized with a 1-star. The rate of a 4-star appearing in free summons is 1%. He wasted his luck with that mistake. Pick Me Up is linked with the phone so players cannot play again. And the last time since he entered the game was already 1 week since the first time. With his super brain combined with the reality he experienced, Seo Jin easily came to the guess, is time here different from Earth? Causing Essel to explode in frustration. Stop asking, I will not answer you. Thanks to her attitude basically like admitting, a genuine smile appeared on his lips. So that means time here flows differently than on Earth, doesn't it? Thanks for the tip. Next time give me more tips. Essel's fury wanted to split her forehead. Ah, you 1-star trash. After experiencing this, Seo Jin understood she could not touch him. She could only interfere when self-defense was needed, or when a hero refused the master's orders. So he decided he must investigate each rule here one by one. If he could not adapt in time, he would die, because that was exactly how this world operated. However, though Jenna was beside him hearing everything from beginning to end, it seemed the world she came from did not have this game, so she had to turn and ask, What are you two talking about? Seo Jin neatly and decisively answered, We will have to raid to the 100th floor of the tower. There exists an entity called the Master who can issue commands through Usul, and we must obey them and carry out missions. When we reach the 100th floor, we can escape from here. At this moment Jenna officially realized, Does that mean we must continue to fight monsters? Seo Jin confirmed, That is why we must train. We need to become even stronger. However, as someone who had experienced the ferocity on the first floor, Jenna could not help but worry, just the two of us, will it be okay? He did not mind the trouble and continued to explain. The master can use money to summon someone like us. Others will also be summoned here. Their choices from then on will decide their own fates. But ultimately, the immediate fate of every person who bears the title of hero here still depends on the decision of the master. Cold time slowly passed. After training all day, Seo Jin realized an interesting rule in this world. Essential items and food will regenerate the next day. And if he thought about what he wanted, it would appear in the wardrobe the following day. Of course, things like guns would not be provided. The results gained from training were also different. Now Seo Jin could understand some things that he had not known when playing Pick Me Up. Sometimes heroes would have different combat strengths, even though they were the same star. The weak ones all shared a common trait. They were too lazy to train. Training did not increase stats or levels, but enhanced skills and recovered abilities. Now that Seo Jin experienced it personally, he drew the conclusion. I had not thought about it from the start. Now looking back, I think they were not entirely wrong. To properly play a character training game, normally if a master has skill, they will categorize the main heroes into 3 types. First is mentality. The master will not even glance at any hero who easily panics. Second is about skills. A high-ranked hero is summoned with many skills already learned, while most low-ranked heroes have hidden potential that the master must actively discover. Third is physical condition, which was exactly what Seo Jin was working on at this moment. Moreover, without showing any sign of resting. 3 days passed since he began training. Finally, the master connected to the game at the moment. The notification welcome to Pick Me Up appeared. Looking at his own status board, Seo Jin could not contain his joy as he clenched his fist in triumph. I have obtained 2 skills through training. I have done my best. He did not forget to remind, get ready. The master is here. Jenna was startled. Has he arrived already? Which made him ask back, what do you mean? It has been 3 days. The next second before rushing into the game, the master began summoning. Seeing this, Seo Jin told Jenna, "The master is summoning a new hero. A party will be 5 people, so he will roll 3 times." Finally, it was done when a series of notifications rang out like spam. Master Waitiver has obtained Hero Eren, Toby and Yelson's 1 star. All 3 of them appeared with an imposing air. "Where am I? That is what I want to know." Jenna, being someone who understood the situation and had a caring heart, urgently urged them, "Hey everyone, we must prepare to fight. We will explain everything to you after we safely get through this." But it was too sudden for Toby, who furrowed his brows and confirmed again, "Prepare to fight. Who are you people?" And this time with an extremely sharp, cool face, Usul directly issued the command after receiving the order from Waitiver, "Spatial Rift, open." All 3 Eren, Toby and Yelson's 1 star were of course dragged by the master into Team 1. At this moment urgency was evident on Seo Jin's face. "Jenna, choose a weapon before it is too late." She ignored the new heroes. Yes. Right at that moment a game tip popped up. A hero without equipment will automatically fight with an old iron sword. Seo Jin knew its presence well. Because the previous team had died with weapons on them, we had no weapons to supply. While Usul kept urging, "All of you come here now," which agitated Toby and Yelson's. "Who are you? Send us back." Jenna quickly stopped them. "Stop it. It will be worse if we fight with her." Of course that guy could not let it go so easily. He even yelled in her face, "Are you all in cahoots? Did you bring us here?" She panicked, "Not me. I was dragged here too." Seo Jin lost all patience and snapped word by word, "You are only making more trouble. They will realize it themselves in a few minutes." Indeed, it was just as he predicted. Clearly they did not intend to stop as they continued screaming hoarse. "My wife is waiting for me. Send me back. I am a poor farmer without money." "You caught the wrong person," which made Usul furious. "Are you not going in yet?" Jenna still worried. "Will they die?" Seo Jin coldly emphasized. "As long as they do not lay a hand on Usul, it will be fine." The outcome of that struggle was obvious, with Toby and Yelson's suffering a miserable defeat, while Eren fearfully knelt down. "I am sorry." Usul was extremely irritated. "You must listen carefully when I speak, unlike those guys." The next moment there was no time to waste. The spatial rift gradually closed. At the end of it all, the beaming smile, no different from a devil's, was clear on her lips. "Enjoy yourselves." The whole group was officially transported to the 2nd floor. The mission included subduing the target and wiping out all enemies. Like a reenactment of the 1st floor, panic overflowed on the faces of Yelson's group. Where is this?" Seo Jin, with full experience, was already in stance. "Jenna, are you ready?" She still stammered slightly. "Why, yes." Unlike the simplicity of the previous playthrough, now before them were 2 fierce species, level 4 prairie wolves and level 3 goblins. Just this small appearance alone successfully struck the spirits of the newly summoned heroes. Eren, Toby and Yelson's 1 star were terrified. All stats reduced by 30%. They even cried out in unison, "What is that?" Seo Jin's sharp pupils seemed to notice something different and glanced over. It turned out that although Jenna outwardly forced herself to stay calm, she could hardly restrain her panting. And the truthful message right above her, "Jenna 1 star is terrified. All stats reduced by 30%. He gasped. "She is scared too." So he did not hesitate to poke her with a senseless jab. "Did you eat something really bad?" This sudden action made Jenna so frightened that she jumped. At this moment she directly bristled and scolded Seo Jin to his face, "Do not scare me like that." But he did not mind and slowly entrusted, "Take care of the 2 goblins. I will deal with the wolves." And it was precisely thanks to this gesture from him that successfully changed the status of his companion. Jenna 1 star is no longer terrified. Thanks to that, Seo Jin could also relax as his gaze slid behind, meaning she was only startled a little. Thank goodness. Compared to her, none of the new ones could provide any support. Without giving them time to settle down, the goblin in the opposing formation brandished its weapon, and thus launched the battle, forcing Seo Jin to shout, "They are coming." The sharp fangs of the prairie wolf, as big as a washbasin, lunged with fierce momentum. Of course, to counter it was the ferocity and momentum no less than the monsters that belonged to Seo Jin. Unlike the previous struggles where even after killing enemies he had trouble, the results after training were enough for him to not need to bother with redundant moves. Yet feeling the still strong pulse transmitted through the sharp blade, Seo Jin furrowed his brows at the discovery. Still alive? Is it because of this trash weapon? Clearly nothing could stop his advance. Seo Jin directly spun his arm to deliver another heavy strike. Still, the heavy swing was brought straight down. In the end, he succeeded in slashing the enemy to death, killing one. The emblem of the Baskerville family is the image of two blood-red swords crossed with a dog in the center, and they are known to the world as the Clan of Madmen. Every child born there receives strict education. After learning how to walk, they must climb a steep mountain to train their basic endurance, with no rest allowed outside the regulated time. When sleeping, they must lie with the corpse of a demon beast or an imp to adapt to the harsh environment. When that phase ends, they will be 8 years old, and the little hunting dogs must face evaluations filled with dreadful hardships. That is why the Baskerville clan began to be called the Clan of Madmen. On the day of the survival practical assessment, the children are given weapons and sent into the gloomy forest. And today, the young hunting dogs gather at Mount Le Rouge et Le Noir, a mountain filled with demonic creatures captured from the border of their territory. The children stand in orderly lines before a squad of mysterious hooded figures of the family. The instructor of the Baskerville clan, the guide dog Pavlov van Baskerville, stood there and said, "Young masters, the content of the practical evaluation is still very simple." He announced, "Survive here for 1 full month and hunt powerful demon beasts. You only need to remember these 2 things." The children listened nervously as knowledge was explained. You will be awarded 10 points when you successfully save someone's life, 30 points when you save someone without being seriously injured, 50 points if you survive by eliminating another young master, 70 points when you hunt down a demon beast and survive, and 90 points if you meet all the conditions stated before. Pavlov pointed at the badge on the children's necks and added, "Furthermore, a badge stolen from another will be counted as bonus points." The situations were listed clearly: 0 points if you die, and there is no way to gain 100 points. I hope all of you remember Lord Hugo's teaching, "Let your guard down and you will die instantly." Pavlov's voice grew deep. "I advise you not to leave the forbidden zones, because Mount Le Rouge et Le Noir holds many unexplored dangerous areas. I suggest you stay within the zone containing demon beasts that we have already tamed. Guide dogs and guardian knights will secretly score you during the trial." Vikir stood there calmly, because with memories of his previous life, he already knew all of this too well. Beside him 2 children whispered, "Is that the boy who was drowned in the Styx River for 7 minutes? There are also rumors he strangled 2 venomous snakes in his cradle." Around them was endless gossip about the genius child. "I heard he also achieved maximum score on the written exam. Let's see if he performs well in the practical test." Vikir ignored the nonsense, smiling with enjoyment. "Mount Le Rouge et Le Noir, I haven't been here for some time." Suddenly, the sound of a bell rang nearby, catching the attention of Vikir and the bro trio. Pavlov shook the bell in his hand and said, "This bell will mark the beginning of the evaluation." Immediately he shook it and gently said, "I pray for your success." The bell in Pavlov's hand rang continuously, and in the blink of an eye none of the young masters below could be seen. One of them slipped away thinking, "I must secure a favorable position first, then I'll head to the spot that drew attention in last year's trial." Behind him 2 others followed with the plan, "There's no rule saying we must survive alone. We'll just follow him and steal his points." The trio advanced together, but soon an argument broke out. Highbrow said, "Let's secure that area first." Midbrow retorted, "Don't order me around." Lowbrow declared, "I'll act alone, just mind your own business." Meanwhile Pavlov lit a cigarette and wondered, has it already begun? With a long scar across his left eye, he stood there savoring the moment and thought to himself, "This test does not encourage killing, but neither is it forbidden, it is simply not encouraged. Since killing will deduct points, they will avoid murdering others with their own hands as much as possible. But still, someone must die and be thrown down to the white wolves below. Pavlov spoke aloud, with several guide dogs watching over. Everything should be guaranteed. Death will be kept to the lowest number. The scene shifted to somewhere in the forest. A guide dog secretly hid behind a tree, watching. He was assigned to observe Vikir. Looking at the boy's actions, he wondered, "This place is near the unexplored zone. How far do you intend to go, young Master Vikir?" The guide dog thought, "He is a genius who has displayed outstanding skills since childhood. I am looking forward to seeing what he shows me. But his behavior now is a little disappointing." Standing before a large dried tree with all its leaves fallen, Vikir asked aloud, "Is it around here?" Then he took a branch and scraped the ground, murmuring, "The soil must be soft enough." After that, he deliberately raised his voice for the guide dog to hear. "Now, I will decide where I'll stay for the time being." Vikir stretched and continued, "It's about time I enjoy my vacation, isn't it?" Hearing that shocked the man. A vacation. Vikir began gathering dry branches nearby. Meanwhile, the other children continued battling and competing fiercely. Next, he dug a hole, dried his shirt beside it, everything so casual. Elsewhere, the three brothers, despite disagreements, were working together to bring down a large bear. But Vikir, after pitching a small tent, simply lay there resting. The guide dog assigned to watch him grew bored. Watching Vikir light a fire to warm himself, he thought, "All he does is sleep, spend days digging a hole, hunting for food, and gathering firewood. Does he plan to just hide here and waste time?" He looked over, suspicious. "There are rumors this boy is a genius. Perhaps I don't even need to watch him since he doesn't intend to run away." Then he left his position, leaving Vikir free and unobserved. With sharp senses, Vikir instantly noticed his departure. His cold face shifted into a smile, rejoicing. Finally, he's gone. Looking at the crackling fire and the roasting meat, he murmured, "Camping is also a bit nostalgic." He recalled a past life mission where someone told him, "Hey chief, cacao beans are the best way to remove the stench of meat, especially concentrated in blood beans." Now Vikir applied that knowledge, throwing several cacao beans into the fire. Immediately they burned and released their distinct aroma. Vikir gazed into the distance, murmuring, "The obstacles are gone, and my preparations are complete. The spike pits in front of me are already camouflaged." He asked himself, "Shall I begin my hunt?" A few days later, at an iron fence marked with a skull and crossbones danger sign, Vikir coldly stepped into an unexplored zone. The atmosphere was dark, trees dead and withered. He observed closely, thinking, "That side is unexplored territory. But all of this was once my backyard when I was still a scout." Looking ahead, a burning stench pricked his nose. Burnt roots. What is that? Burning dung? Something startled him slightly. He turned and exclaimed, "I found it. Indeed, a pile of burning dung." A sharp jaw emerged with flames, matching Vikir's deduction. Only one type of monster produces such excrement. He was facing a dreadful beast, one that had sickened him during his scouting days, but now he could not be happier to meet one. Nothing else but a hellhound. Its blazing body loomed above him. Hellhound. Danger level, B+. Size, 3 meters. A hound carrying the fire of hell in its jaws, a creature of calamity for anyone who encounters it. Even a single bite brings endless death. The sulphurous flames spewing from its eyes and mouth are born from the deepest pits of hellfire, unquenchable until its designated fuel-living flesh is utterly consumed. When that phase ends, they will be 8 years old, and the little hunting dogs must face evaluations filled with dreadful hardships. That is why the Baskerville clan began to be called the Clan of Madmen. On the day of the survival practical assessment, the children are given weapons and sent into the gloomy forest. And today, the young hunting dogs gather at Mount Le Rouge et Le Noir, a mountain filled with demonic creatures captured from the border of their territory. The children stand in orderly lines before a squad of mysterious hooded figures of the family. The instructor of the Baskerville clan, the guide dog Pavlov van Baskerville, stood there and said, "Young masters, the content of the practical evaluation is still very simple." He announced, "Survive here for 1 full month and hunt powerful demon beasts. You only need to remember these 2 things." The children listened nervously as knowledge was explained. You will be awarded 10 points when you successfully save someone's life, 30 points when you save someone without being seriously injured, 50 points if you survive by eliminating another young master, 70 points when you hunt down a demon beast and survive, and 90 points if you meet all the conditions stated before. Pavlov pointed at the badge on the children's necks and added, "Furthermore, a badge stolen from another will be counted as bonus points." The situations were listed clearly: 0 points if you die, and there is no way to gain 100 points. I hope all of you remember Lord Hugo's teaching, "Let your guard down and you will die instantly." Pavlov's voice grew deep. "I advise you not to leave the forbidden zones, because Mount Le Rouge et Le Noir holds many unexplored dangerous areas. I suggest you stay within the zone containing demon beasts that we have already tamed. Guide dogs and guardian knights will secretly score you during the trial." Vikir stood there calmly, because with memories of his previous life, he already knew all of this too well. Beside him 2 children whispered, "Is that the boy who was drowned in the Styx River for 7 minutes? There are also rumors he strangled 2 venomous snakes in his cradle." Around them was endless gossip about the genius child. "I heard he also achieved maximum score on the written exam. Let's see if he performs well in the practical test." Vikir ignored the nonsense, smiling with enjoyment. "Mount Le Rouge et Le Noir, I haven't been here for some time." Suddenly, the sound of a bell rang nearby, catching the attention of Vikir and the bro trio. Pavlov shook the bell in his hand and said, "This bell will mark the beginning of the evaluation." Immediately he shook it and gently said, "I pray for your success." The bell in Pavlov's hand rang continuously, and in the blink of an eye none of the young masters below could be seen. One of them slipped away thinking, "I must secure a favorable position first, then I'll head to the spot that drew attention in last year's trial." Behind him 2 others followed with the plan, "There's no rule saying we must survive alone. We'll just follow him and steal his points." The trio advanced together, but soon an argument broke out. Highbrow said, "Let's secure that area first." Midbrow retorted, "Don't order me around." Lowbrow declared, "I'll act alone, just mind your own business." Meanwhile Pavlov lit a cigarette and wondered, has it already begun? With a long scar across his left eye, he stood there savoring the moment and thought to himself, "This test does not encourage killing, but neither is it forbidden. It is simply not encouraged. Since killing will deduct points, they will avoid murdering others with their own hands as much as possible. But still, someone must die and be thrown down to the white wolves below." Pavlov spoke aloud, with several guide dogs watching over. "Everything should be guaranteed. Death will be kept to the lowest number." The scene shifted to somewhere in the forest. A guide dog secretly hid behind a tree, watching. He was assigned to observe Vikir. Looking at the boy's actions, he wondered, "This place is near the unexplored zone. How far do you intend to go, young Master Vikir?" The guide dog thought, "He is a genius who has displayed outstanding skills since childhood. I am looking forward to seeing what he shows me. But his behavior now is a little disappointing." Standing before a large dried tree with all its leaves fallen, Vikir asked aloud, "Is it around here?" Then he took a branch and scraped the ground, murmuring, "The soil must be soft enough." After that, he deliberately raised his voice for the guide dog to hear. "Now, I will decide where I'll stay for the time being." Vikir stretched and continued, "It's about time I enjoy my—" The door of the synthesis room burst open, standing tall in the draft that swept through and rustled the leaves, sowing into the air a chilling sense that made the spine shiver. Right within that scene, Seo Jin quietly observed every movement and realized opportunities. Not just one but countless others had been created. details that seemed insignificant and never appeared on the screen. Yet the master was by no means unaware. He knew exactly who fought on the front lines, who took initiative, and who was lazy. And now Han and Jenna were officially added to the favorites list. Without giving them time to recover, Yusil immediately flared up, pointing her finger and shouting loudly, "Jenna, Yelsons, get into the synthesis room. Hurry." Jenna turned in confusion toward Seo Jin. "Hey." But he did not show any sign of concern and only calmly reassured her so she would feel at ease. "Go, nothing will happen to you." At that very moment, as the atmosphere grew heavier, Yelsons turned to him with a pale face. What will happen if we go in there?" Seo Jin did not hesitate and answered quickly. "Surely you will be judged based on what you have done." Hearing that, the man immediately exploded in anger and shouted, "I didn't do anything. I was just dragged here for no reason." Seo Jin furrowed his brows and urged with a look of complete impatience, "Get in there," while Essel beside him, for once, nodded in rare agreement. This is the first time we've shared the same thought." Next came the harsh words that struck him speechless. "So what do you want me to do? Help you? If at least you pretended to fight, then things would have been different." And then she too snapped and scolded bitterly, "I'm sick of you. Just get in there already." Finally, the gate of the synthesis room closed tightly after it had taken in all those who were named. The system indifferently displayed the cold words, "Do you want to synthesize?" Meanwhile, Yelsons, though not knowing what would happen, still had enough intuition to scream, "It's not fair, let me." But before he could finish the sentence, a surge of blue flames suddenly erupted and swallowed every sound. After the stream of synthesis data was completed, Jenna leveled up and acquired the skill Eagle Eye display, then stepped out in utter bewilderment and exclaimed, "What just happened?" That guy turned into light and disappeared. Yet in response to that panic came only Seo Jin's cold words, "In this place, the useless die to be offered to others. Now it's my turn." With that he turned his gaze toward Toby and Aaron, who were trembling, not knowing which of them it would be. At the same moment, Usul raised her hand and pointed straight at them, loudly calling the names. "Next are Han and Toby." The face of the one just named instantly changed color. Beads of sweat poured down like rain as he stammered uncontrollably, I. Entering the room where everyone was filled with fear, only Seo Jin remained calm. By then, Toby was pushed to the brink of madness and burst into crazed laughter. "Ha ha ha, you're sending me home, aren't you? Right, I'll get to go home." Ignoring all the desperate delusional cries, Seo Jin only spoke blandly, "That's right, just think of it that way. What must come will come." A scream tore across space, echoing in horror. And in that instant, the system displayed synthesis complete as Toby turned into a halo of light and vanished into nothingness. From that place, Seo Jin slowly stepped out in a calmness so chilling that once again the emotionless voice descended to announce Han leveled up and gained the skill composure. Passing by Aaron, who was frozen in terror, he only tossed out a short phrase heavy as a blade, "Lucky you." Jenna at this moment looked toward the cold synthesis room in fear. "So if the master thinks you are useless, then you will disappear in there." Seo Jin glanced at her with a question. "Why so sad? Aren't you the one who doesn't want to be left behind?" Hugging herself tightly in relentless trembling as unease gnawed at her mind, she mumbled, "If I become useless, then one day this will happen to me too." Seo Jin curled his lips and repeated the bare rule. "The higher we climb, the stronger the monsters and players we face will be. Either we die by the enemy's hand, or we die by being sacrificed like that." She frowned. "Is that so? Seems like you know everything, huh?" To that anxiety, he gave short advice. "If you want to live, then do exactly as your father told you." Then emphasized the core point to engrave, "Stay close to the strong." Time quietly shifted into the second day, at the training ground where the dummy figures still stood alone like soulless sentinels. In the moment when all sound seemed to halt, Jenna suddenly bowed her head and pleaded, "Please look after me." That sight made Seo Jin pause slightly. "Did something happen to you?" Jenna inhaled, then straightened up, her voice trembling but clear as she recalled his words. "You said stay near the strong, so I will get close to the strong. Please take care of me." That left Seo Jin somewhat at a loss for words. Unbelievable. If you work hard you won't die, so don't worry too much about that. When the air was still suffocating with tension, a sudden cry broke the silence. Please look after me too. Eren stepped forward with clenched fists and earnestly begged, I'm sorry, I've been so stupid. I only caused trouble every day. No matter what happened I left the two of you to fight alone. That was truly a cowardly act. But from now on things will be different. But those pleas did not move Seojin. How can I trust you? Seeing he still hadn't gained approval, Eren bowed his body 90 degrees. If you want me to kneel, I'll agree. So please, Jenna beside him chimed in. Seems like at last he has made up his mind. Without giving a definitive answer, Seojin directly reversed the question. Hey, have you ever fought a monster? Before coming here I had never fought any monster either. Eren froze slightly as he caught the weapon Seojin threw to him. But you're so good, he coldly explained. The difference is in determination. Determination to win or just to survive. The glint of steel made Eren follow without blinking, while Seojin continued, That's a spear. I'm no expert, but I've heard it's the easiest weapon to use. Try it. Do you know the basic theory of melee, mid-range, and ranged combat? As one skilled with one of the three, Jenna quickly showed her knowledge. Melee uses swords, mid-range uses spears, and long-range uses bows. The basic theory is like that, right? Gripping the wooden sword in his hand, Seojin gave the reason for the choice. Because our team only has 3 people, so this is the most effective way. Right after that tense moment, he poured all his resolve and looked straight at Eren. What are you doing? Prepare to fight. The man was bewildered and utterly confused. Fight? Aren't you going to teach me? In the instant the words fell, Seojin's steps had already turned into wind rushing toward him. I've never used a spear. What could I teach you? I learned to fight by myself. So you learn by yourself too. Then he unleashed strike after strike on Eren. Be grateful you have an opponent to fight with. I only had dummies as my opponents. Under the unceasing pressure of battle, Seojin pressed on relentlessly so the man could only grit his teeth and endure. He couldn't stay on the defensive forever, so he had no choice but to muster all his resolve and, shouting, raised his weapon high to strike back. At that moment, Seojin easily landed a kick into his stomach. Fighting with your eyes shut, are you? It hasn't even threatened your life, and this is all you can do. If I were a monster you'd already be dead. From behind, Jenna worriedly spoke with hesitation. It's the first time and you're already like that. Aren't you being too harsh? But what came back was only Seojin's flat and blunt tone. I don't want to have to take care of others. If you can't keep up I'll just leave you. Then he sternly posed a question to Eren. Do you have a family? Clutching the dull aching wound, he struggled to answer. My sister, she's waiting. In return came Seojin's indifference. At least you still have someone. I have no one at all. After a brief silence, he pressed the tip of his sword against Eren's neck without the slightest hesitation. Next he narrowed his sharp eyes and posed a scenario for him to ponder. So what will happen if you cannot return here? Dying at the hands of a monster will be excruciating, even worse than being synthesized. If you don't want to continue then just give up. Each word from Seojin struck like thunder in clear skies, crashing down into Eren's clenched teeth and brooding silence. Seeing this reaction, Seojin unconsciously smiled in satisfaction, knowing he had driven the point home. At last he gave a positive remark about Eren. The spirit in your eyes is better now. And then at some point, a series of notifications appeared as Webtoon began upgrading. You have chosen the Forge, an appendix of level 1 weapons. Upon acceptance, it will cost another 500 gems to construct. Watching the environment gradually rendered by the data, Seojin directly stated, I can now walk around, and now the forge is open too. Soul, if you're here then come out. Hearing her name called, she appeared in irritation. Who do you think you are to call me whenever you please? But he countered with a superior tone, I'm sick of that attitude. Fix it. She went mad from being corrected and punched repeatedly with blows too weak to even itch. And clearly Seojin did not care. You're the one sending tips to Webtoon, right? You can access the internet, can't you? If you can intervene in the system, then surely you can use it. Hearing this, she folded her arms across her chest and affirmed, That's right, I can. My hobby is roaming around websites. He curled his lips and confirmed. So the tips you send are being used as the foundation. After summoning items 10 times, unlocking level 1 of the training facility, and then unlocking the forge. That statement of Seo Jin's stirred doubt in Essel. How do you know? He still calmly leaned against the wall and explained. That post is very popular on Pick Me Up. You don't know, the one Loki posted. Hearing that familiar name, she immediately questioned. You know Loki? He shrugged indifferently. Of course, I'm also a user of Pick Me Up. Hitting the topic she knew best. Essel suddenly rattled on like a fanatic. Huh? You must only be stuck on the lower floors. Lord Loki is the master of masters, the war god of Pick Me Up. If there were 7 stars, he would already be the #1 in the world. A half-smile slowly appeared on Seo Jin's face as he carefully probed. Why do you like Loki? She eagerly gave her reason. Because he is the one who turns the impossible into possible. The corners of his mouth lifted higher. Oh, turning the impossible into possible. And Essel mocked. You're a pick-me-up player, and yet you don't even know that. Then she soared high with excitement as she went on about her idol. Lord Loki is but just as she was immersed in her excitement. Seo Jin suddenly spoke, causing Essel's wings to freeze. Sorry to break this news to you. Hearing that, she suddenly turned her head in confusion. What? After a pause deliberately stretched out to add more mystery, he tilted his head and slowly emphasized each word. I am Loki. I am Loki. Vikir sat slumped against the base of a tree, unmoving for a moment. His face darkened. Then suddenly his eyes snapped open wide. His teeth clenched wordlessly. He looked toward the approaching Cerberus and thought, I lost consciousness after being struck by it. He felt the blood and pain coursing through his body and wondered, my whole left arm hurts. Is it broken? A claw mark had appeared along his arm, his torn sleeve exposing injured flesh. He could not even raise his left arm. His expression briefly startled. Across from him, the 3-headed beast rushed forward again, and Vikir thought, even with Cerberus wounded, for me to be only this injured, is this the blessing of the sticks? The monster lunged once more, its blow splintering the tree, but Vikir swiftly darted aside, silently giving thanks. Long live the sticks. His eyes grew tense. But if I keep taking hits like this, I will not survive. He watched the hound turn again, a desperate situation. Yet even in such times a seasoned hunter always finds the best option. The best I can do now is, of all strategies, flight is the best. With that thought he spun and fled, not daring a direct clash, and it immediately pursued him. He thought grimly, if not for its wounds I would already have been caught and torn to pieces. Perhaps I should thank those barbarians in the mountains. He spotted a fence ahead, realizing beyond it lay the outer boundary. He poured all his strength into leaping across. If I can reach there, I will make it. But if I am caught before then, I die. At the same time, the 3 sets of fangs roared and closed in. The shadow of man and beast streaked through the dark forest. Vikir raced anxiously, muttering inwardly, where is it? It must be near. At last he saw it, the place he had marked before. He ran with all his might, whispering to himself, just a bit more, just a bit more. At that very moment, as Cerberus's maws neared his body, Vikir's face tightened with fear though he forced calm. His foot pressed down, bracing. Now, as Cerberus lunged, he sprang into the air, flipping forward a short distance. Its massive jaws gaped before him, ready to snap shut. But suddenly its paw pressed a hidden trap he had set. The great bulk of Cerberus began to tumble into a pit, while Vikir slid across the ground on the far side. He lay back gasping at the sky, relief flooding in. Staring at the writhing beast within the trap, Vikir sneered, welcome to the sword sieve, Cerberus. He sat up smiling, wiping his face, thinking, who would have thought the snare I made for hellhounds would capture Cerberus itself? The 2 side heads foamed green, the same poisoned effect as the hounds. After all, Cerberus was also a dog, and the bean essence coating my spearhead acts as toxin. The central head roared, eyes blazing. Vikir hefted a sharpened stake, preparing to hurl it, and said, I suppose a high-class beast would not die from a single strike, right? He hurled it with all his might, but shockingly, the stake failed to pierce its thick hide. The monster kept snarling, terrifying and savage. Vikier stood calm, counting silently, 1, 2. The beast dragged itself free of the pit, bleeding but advancing. He did not move, continuing, 3, 4. Cerberus roared, eyes fixed on him, jagged fangs bared, and 6 seconds passed. At the 7th, when it was face to face with him, its remaining head bellowed, spewing blue poisonous froth from its throat. Vikier wiped his face and exhaled in relief. Looking at the fallen colossal body, he murmured, exactly 7 steps, so the rumor was true. Remembering the stake, he said, that wooden spear I threw was a bit different. He muttered, even a single bite should not have left it able to take 7 steps, but the spear was coated in blood serpent venom. Luckily I had kept it since childhood. He raised his hand to receive the aura flowing from the corpse and said, I can feel the energy of Cerberus. It seems all 3 heads are dead now. Gazing at the massive carcass, he wondered, how can I move this? The cause of death is obvious. The Night Guardians will soon suspect me. He pondered, first there is something I must do. Cerberus, a gatekeeper beast, had the habit of guarding a domain. Surely there must be a dungeon nearby. A dungeon, a strange place full of treasures, and sometimes dwelling of powerful fiends. He took some of the beast's blood and smeared it over himself, thinking, if the gatekeeper is dead, the dungeon may be empty. If I mask my scent with that of Cerberus, I can avoid most encounters. He thought further, the humus, the dry leaves, broken branches, tracks and saliva, I will follow these signs back. Quietly he traced the trail left by the 3-headed hound. After a while, Vikier stood before a dark cave mouth exhaling malevolent breath. Here it is, the dungeon guarded by Cerberus. He entered and recalled, I remember coming here before rebirth. I discovered it 10 years later, but it was empty then. He stood staring inward, but now was different. Amidst the rot, I can smell mana. This place has not yet been touched. He peered into the dungeon, swallowed by blackness, light failing to reach the end, deeper than I thought. Vikier smirked coldly, unable to hide the thrill and satisfaction of the dungeon about to be explored. He stepped inside and wondered, what treasures might await me here? Treasures gradually rendered by the data. Seojin directly stated, I can now walk around, and now the forge is open too. Usul, if you're here then come out. Hearing her name called, she appeared in irritation. Who do you think you are to call me whenever you please? But he countered with a superior tone, I'm sick of that attitude, fix it. She went mad from being corrected and punched repeatedly with blows too weak to even itch, and clearly Seojin did not care. You're the one sending tips to Waitover, right? You can access the internet, can't you? If you can intervene in the system, then surely you can use it. Hearing this, she folded her arms across her chest and affirmed, that's right, I can. My hobby is roaming around websites. He curled his lips and confirmed, so the tips you send are being used as the foundation. After summoning items 10 times, unlocking level 1 of the training facility, and then unlocking the forge. That statement of Seojin's stirred doubt in Usul. How do you know? He still calmly leaned against the wall and explained, that post is very popular on Pick Me Up. You don't know, the one Loki posted. Hearing that familiar name, she immediately questioned, you know Loki? He shrugged indifferently. Of course, I'm also a user of Pick Me Up. Hitting the topic she knew best. Usul suddenly rattled on like a fanatic. Huh? You must only be stuck on the lower floors. Lord Loki is the master of masters, the war god of Pick Me Up. If there were 7 stars, he would already be the #1 in the world. A half-smile slowly appeared on Seojin's face as he carefully probed. Why do you like Loki? She eagerly gave her reason. Because he is the one who turns the impossible into possible. The corners of his mouth lifted higher. Oh, turning the impossible into possible. And Usul mocked. You're a pick-me-up player, and yet you don't even know that. Then she soared high with excitement as she went on about her idol. Lord Loki is but just as she was immersed in her excitement. Seojin suddenly spoke, causing Usul's wings to freeze. Sorry to break this news to you. Hearing that, she suddenly turned her head in confusion. What? After a pause deliberately stretched out to add more mystery, he tilted his head and slowly emphasized each word. I am Loki. I am Loki. Vikir sat slumped against the base of a tree, unmoving for a moment. His face darkened. Then suddenly his eyes snapped open wide, his teeth clenched wordlessly. He looked toward the approaching Cerberus and thought, I lost consciousness after being struck by it. He felt the blood and pain coursing through his body and wondered, my whole left arm hurts, is it broken? A claw mark had appeared along his arm, his torn sleeve exposing injured flesh. He could not even raise his left arm, his expression briefly startled. Across from him, the three-headed beast rushed forward again, and Vikir thought, even with Cerberus wounded, for me to be only this injured, is this the blessing of the sticks? The monster lunged once more, its blow splintering the tree, but Vikir swiftly darted aside, silently giving thanks. Long live the sticks. His eyes grew tense, but if I keep taking hits like this, I will not survive. He watched the hound turn again, a desperate situation. Yet even in such times a seasoned hunter always finds the best option. The best I can do now is, of all strategies, flight is the best. With that thought he spun and fled. Vikir quietly walked inside the dungeon, red aura energy radiating everywhere. He looked up at the rock wall and thought, there are quite a lot of ruby veins in many places along this wall. It seems this place is connected to Fangrid Mountain, a branch of Rouge et Le Noir Mountain, which is translated as the Red and Black Mountain. At the end of the tunnel, a dazzling light shone out. Vikir speculated, that must be the inside of the dungeon. He raised his hand to cover his face, closed one eye and tried to look towards it. Vikir stepped into the dungeon gate. In front of him was a large gem floating above a small pillar. He approached and said, it glows inside the dungeon. It must be an artifact that radiates light by absorbing mana and channeling it into the ruby. Vikir was startled as he looked down at the base of the pillar. A dried-up skeleton was leaning against it with a piece of paper in front. He wondered, has someone been here before me? Vikir picked up the paper and observed injuries all over the body as if slashed randomly by a blade. The blood had long dried up. Looking at the skull turned to the side, he speculated, it seems it has been quite some time. Vikir lifted the paper and read its contents. At this moment, my name no longer matters, so it could be anything. I will call myself Cain. I find it unnecessary to taint this pure sheet of paper with my real name. Reading this, he pondered, this writing style has been passed down in the Baskerville clan for generations. Could this person also be a member of the Baskerville family? He continued to read, I am writing this because I want those who come after not to make the same mistakes as I did. The legend of the clan has told that this place is an ancient dungeon, and my brother Abel accidentally discovered it. We tried countless times to explore this dungeon. We defeated numerous monsters and reached this stone chamber, faced with a supreme riddle here. And this riddle trapped us for a very, very long time, for 3 whole years. At this point Vikir murmured, 3 years, they must have craved the treasure inside desperately. This supreme riddle must be somewhere in the dungeon. He then looked at the inscriptions beneath the pillar holding the large ruby and wondered, is that it? The question written there said, what enters as 1, but inside becomes 2, only when it is 1 can it leave. Vikir continued reading the paper. With the narrow understanding of the riddle my brother and I had, we thought long and hard, and we both came to the same conclusion. We are twins. When in our mother's womb we were 1, but when born we were separated into 2. That also meant that between the 2 of us, only 1 could leave with the treasure. Right. They decided to face each other in a fratricidal battle to find the treasure hidden behind the riddle. In the end, after a long and fierce fight, he killed his brother. A stab through the heart, and now only 1 remained in this place. But even so, nothing changed here at all. The 2 of them were now 1, but he still received nothing, which drove him insane. He looked down at his brother's corpse in agony. I killed my brother, I killed him, I killed him. After endless remorse, I decided to leave this place. If anyone is brave enough to reach here, I want to tell you one thing, leave this place immediately. All this place does is drive people mad with greed. There is nothing to gain in this damned cave. Vikir let the paper drift away and mocked. So in short, what he meant was, even if I overcame everything to reach here, there is no reward at all. But I am not a twin. He looked around the dungeon and thought, but I am not a twin. The riddle posed is still the same, which means Cain and Abel had solved it wrong. What enters is one, but inside becomes two. Only when it is one can it leave. What could that mean? The things here are connected together. The dungeon, the giant ruby, and the skeleton lying there. Vikir told himself, think, a dungeon that cannot be conquered does not exist. He looked down, suddenly realizing something. Vikir exclaimed, looking at his own shadow cast on the skeleton. He smiled. It seemed Vikir had found the answer, but did not dare to believe it. His lips murmured, impossible. Looking at the large glowing gem, he continued, so it is this. Cain and Abel were just unfortunate brothers, because there were two of them. They were trapped in their situation and could not solve the riddle. Vikir raised his hand, the dark tunnel contrasting with the shining stone chamber. The answer to the riddle was the dungeon itself. He stood there with his shadow stretching behind him. When we enter, we are one with the dark tunnel, but the moment we reach here, we become two because of the ruby's light. Vikir decisively shattered the ruby, then let it turn dark once more. The final area of the dungeon would be opened. He sneered confidently and said, the answer is my shadow. The ruby shattered and fell to the ground, radiating dark energy. Then, the fragments floated up, releasing dense spiritual energy into the pillar below. Vikir quietly stood there waiting for what the dungeon would bring after solving the riddle. His eyes lit up and he smiled brightly. So this is what the two brothers fought each other for. Something resembling a sword appeared above the riddle pillar. Vikir wondered, could this be the holy relic of the demon's lair? A sword with three glowing spots like three eyes in the center, exuding an aura of extreme evil and strangeness. Another warning appeared, only the bloodline of the Baskerville clan can draw Beelzebub. Reading these lines shocked Vikir into exclaiming, this is Beelzebub. This is the holy relic that can be found here. He had seen illustrations of the sword in a mythological book he read in his past life, the gluttonous demon fly, Beelzebub. In ancient mythology, it never mentioned the great demons that ruled the lands. There were in total 7 calamities corresponding to the 7 deadly sins. To prevent those 7 calamities, the leaders of the 7 clans rose up to fight each demon of the deadly sins. At that time, the demon the Baskerville clan faced was the gluttonous demon fly, Beelzebub. And from then on, what remained of Beelzebub was sealed within the territory of the Baskerville clan, and the demonic energy Beelzebub emitted attracted monsters, or at least that was what the myth said, though no one believed it. However, the legend was true. In the future, this sword fell into the hands of demons and brought death to countless human warriors on the battlefield. Vikir sneered as he gripped the sword hilt and said, but in this life, that will not happen again. Anyway, now it will belong to me. He tried to draw the sword. The aura from it surged unceasingly. The vicious dark aura from the sword invaded his hand, making Vikir scream. Then, it gradually seeped into the back of his hand and merged with his body. In just a moment, the fusion was almost complete. Vikir's face grimaced. Deathly demonic breath spread around. The long, sharp blade shot out from the back of his hand. Vikir clenched his fist in awe. A sword crystallized from what remained of the holy relic of a demon. Obtaining Beelzebub truly exceeds all expectations. He sneered, his deathly gaze blending with the eerie aura of Beelzebub, and said, I wonder how much stronger I will become in this life. I look forward to it. I look forward. For me to be only this injured, is this the blessing of the sticks? The monster lunged once more, its blow splintering the tree, but Vikir swiftly darted aside, silently giving thanks. Long live the sticks. His eyes grew tense, but if I keep taking hits like this, I will not survive. He watched the hound turn again, a desperate situation. Yet even in such times a seasoned hunter always finds the best option. The best I can do now is, of all strategies, flight is the best. With that thought he spun and fled. Not. Vikir quietly walked inside the dungeon. Red aura energy radiating everywhere. He looked up at the rock wall and thought, there are quite a lot of ruby veins in many places along this wall. It seems this place is connected to Fangrid Mountain, a branch of Rouge et Le Noir Mountain, which is translated as the Red and Black Mountain. At the end of the tunnel, a dazzling light shone out. Vikier speculated, that must be the inside of the dungeon. He raised his hand to cover his face, closed one eye and tried to look towards it. Vikier stepped into the dungeon gate. In front of him was a large gem floating above a small pillar. He approached and said, it glows inside the dungeon. It must be an artifact that radiates light by absorbing mana and channeling it into the ruby. Vikier was startled as he looked down at the base of the pillar. A dried-up skeleton was leaning against it with a piece of paper in front. He wondered, has someone been here before me? Vikier picked up the paper and observed injuries all over the body as if slashed randomly by a blade. The blood had long dried up. Looking at the skull turned to the side, he speculated, it seems it has been quite some time. Vikier lifted the paper and read its contents. At this moment, my name no longer matters, so it could be anything. I will call myself Cain. I find it unnecessary to taint this pure sheet of paper with my real name. Reading this, he pondered, this writing style has been passed down in the Baskerville clan for generations. Could this person also be a member of the Baskerville family? He continued to read, I am writing this because I want those who come after not to make the same mistakes as I did. The legend of the clan has told that this place is an ancient dungeon, and my brother Abel accidentally discovered it. We tried countless times to explore this dungeon. We defeated numerous monsters. After obtaining the most precious thing in the dungeon, Vikier turned his head and wondered, there is nothing else to take here. Should I go back? Suddenly he felt dizzy. His vision blurred and his body staggered. Vikier sensed the growl of his stomach. His belly was rumbling loudly. His entire body lost strength and collapsed. His face twisted in confusion. What is this? Dizziness? No. Is it hunger? Beelzebub appeared on the back of his hand. It along with his whole body was trembling. He wondered, is it trying to tell me to feed it? Then Vikier held his stomach and tried to step out of the dungeon. His face showed worry. His head was spinning. This insane craving made me feel as if my stomach was being torn apart. It seems my sense of smell is more sensitive than usual because of hunger. There is something with an amazing scent. Beelzebub stretched its proboscis forward, as if dragging Vikir's whole body toward that direction. Its sharp proboscis pointed straight ahead. Vikir spoke. You are trying to say that there is something edible over there. A moment later, he and Beelzebub returned to the place where the corpse of the three-headed hellhound he had killed earlier lay. Before Vikir could regain his senses, it directly pierced its proboscis into the body of Cerberus and sucked blood continuously as if starved for a long time. He silently observed and thought, the blood flowing through Beelzebub makes me feel like my stomach is revived again. I guess it has been starving for a long time. In the middle of the desolate forest, withered trees and barren land, could it also be because of Beelzebub's ravenous hunger? Vikir wondered, how much do I have to feed it to satisfy it? After draining all the blood of the three-headed dog, it retracted its proboscis, letting out a satisfied sound. Its skill information appeared, the hunger of Beelzebub. The first slot was blood of the three-headed hellhound rank B+, the remaining 2 slots were empty. Vikir was startled as he looked at the blood sword in his hand and wondered, this is Beelzebub's unique skill. The hunger of Beelzebub. It is said it can turn the opponent's skill into its own. It can absorb unlimited skills, and those absorbed will be completely annihilated. He looked at the dried corpse of Cerberus and said, but I guess there must be a maximum limit of skills I can absorb because this is a corpse. The blood of the three-headed dog. A skill that makes even the smallest scratch bleed a horrifying amount. Vikir was startled by a thought. Wait, if I can obtain this skill. While lost in thought, something stirred within the corpse of the three-headed dog. Beelzebub appeared again with its bloodlust, thrusting its sharp proboscis downward, emanating a vicious aura that Vikir could not stop. He hurriedly exclaimed, wait. It continued sucking the blood of something. He could only scratch his head and sigh. You cannot eat everything. It will be hard to explain when they inspect it later because the body will be completely damaged. Vikier was speechless, letting Beelzebub gorge itself for now. After a while, he tapped on it and ordered it to stop. Now all 3 slots had skills. First was Cerberus Flame rank A+, next was Blood of the Hellhound rank B+, and finally Rapid Regeneration of Brown Rat rank F. Seeing the strange skill, Vikier wondered, rapid regeneration. So it also ate the brown rat corpse beneath Cerberus. Holding the rat in his hand, he smiled in satisfaction. But obtaining flame from Cerberus was the great harvest. With the skill I absorbed from the Hellhound, a person will die if hit by this skill. The feeling is even more terrifying than being burned alive. Vikier looked at the corpse before him and sighed. I have already prepared the monstrous creature for the practical exam, so now I just need to relax until the evaluation ends. The scene shifted to some time later. The young hounds of Baskerville returned after completing the practical exam. The evaluation continued afterwards, and the corpses of the monstrous creatures that the young hounds captured were turned into shields, swords, necklaces, and were returned as trophies. And among the corpses of the monstrous creatures, one young hound brought back shocked the Baskervilles present. Hugo sat there. After hearing the report, he could not believe his ears and asked again, "Who caught what?" Butler John held the paper in his hand and reported, "Young Master Vikier van Baskerville, 8 years old, by chance passed through an unexplored area during the exam and hunted a Cerberus, a dangerous monster of rank A+. The family head still did not believe those words and immediately asked again, "You are talking about the 3-headed Cerberus highly rated by the night guards our order once faced?" John replied, "I was informed that it had been injured earlier by barbarian tribes and had been poisoned." Hugo continued to ask, "What kind of poison is strong enough to bring down a Cerberus, and how in the world did it get poisoned?" The image of Vikier appeared in the butler's mind. He replied, "Nothing else was recorded in the hunting log. I tried to ask young master about it, but he said he was tired and returned to the dormitory so." Seeing him hesitate, Hugo understood the matter, stroked his chin and smiled with admiration. This boy is cunning, knowledge is power, and power is value. The butler added, "To be honest, I was also very surprised, thinking that such talent came from one with the name Van, and not La or Lee." Hugo interrupted. "You do not understand me." John confusedly asked again, "Forgive me, Lord." Hugo smiled. "I am different from the previous family heads. I do not care about bloodline when I raise a hound. It does not matter to me whether it comes from royal family or servant. All I care about is talent and determination." The warm sunlight shone into the room through the window, along with the voice of the Baskerville family head. "As I said, even the weak may come from a good bloodline, and the opposite. You understand what I mean?" The butler thought to himself, he is aware of the second son who is training in a remote place. Then he spoke, "I am sorry." Among the great buildings of the family, Hugo waved it off. "It is fine, but I need something to improve my mood. Call the boy here." John immediately replied, "I will call young Master Vikier." A while later, he appeared in his father's room, standing there with an innocent smile hiding the calculations inside. Hugo asked directly, "I heard that you killed a Cerberus in the practical exam. How did you do it?" Vikier honestly, "I fed it chocolate to kill it." The conversation continued. The family head asked, "Chocolate?" Vikier's voice sounded. "Chocolate is actually a deadly poison to hellhounds." Hugo nodded. "I see. That is why you asked for chocolate." He replied, "Yes." John stood there listening and thought. They only ask and answer repeatedly without even greeting each other. Is this really supposed to be a father-son conversation? Things did not end there. Vikier continued to receive questions from the family head. "I heard that you did not answer the butler when he asked specifically about the hunt. Why was that?" The seemingly innocent but deeply calculating answer of his, "Because he is not my master." This made Hugo feel interested and asked further. "Then who is?" Vikier replied, "Because I am a member of the family. The family head is my master." "Who else could it be?" Hugo smiled. "You have learned very well." He stood there listening to the family head rewarding him. "As a reward, the corpse of the creature you captured will be yours alone. And since you ranked first, I will grant you a wish." Vikier rejoiced inside. "I have been waiting for this. With it, I can obtain what I want." His wish startled both the family head and the butler. I wish to enter the sacred library of 10,000 tomes. The Sacred Library of 10,000 Tomes, a colossal library in the deepest place of the main fortress of the Baskerville Order. The library is one of the largest in the empire. Hugo looked at his son seriously and asked, "The Sacred Library of 10,000 Tomes? Do you know that only the family head and deputy family head and corps members are allowed in there?" Vikier pretended to answer, "If I am not permitted, I will give up," he thought to himself. "I guess I have no choice but to sneak in later." But Hugo's answer made his eyes widen in shock. Vikier could not believe what he had just heard. "You may enter." The family head smiled. "In the deepest part of the library, I want you to read the Baskerville Sword Art, the sixth form, which is placed in the sixth restricted section." This made Vikier slightly worried as he thought, "The Baskerville Sword Art, the sixth form? Hugo is allowing an illegitimate child to read that sword art. There has never been a case where an illegitimate child." System notification. Mission for the fourth floor is to subjugate the target. Wipe out the enemy. Harpies and hordes of goblins fiercely charged forward. Hansen raised his shield and panicked. "It's all up to you guys." Seo Jin's voice came from behind to reassure him. "Calm down. You're holding shields. Usually you don't even need to attack. The swordsmen and archers are right behind you." He and Zid shouted in unison to gather courage, ready to face the monsters. Seo Jin's voice rang out. "The weak also have ways to fight like the weak." At that moment the sharp claws of the harpy slashed down. Hansen quickly raised his shield to block. Seeing him and Zid holding the line together stably, Seo Jin continued, "That's through arranging a defensive formation." Dika held his spear, taking a small step back to observe carefully. As Seo Jin explained, using the power of the group instead of a single individual, Dika suddenly rushed forward and cooperated to eliminate the goblin. Watching the battle, he told himself, "I won't join in, I can easily clear this stage, but if I do, they won't be able to practice formation." When the battle ended, the system sent a notification. "Stage cleared. Zid, Hansen leveled up. MVP Jenna, loot acquired includes 2,000 gold, iron ore and leather." Seeing Hansen and Zid high-fiving excitedly, Seo Jin couldn't help but worry. "Still don't know what the fifth stage mission will be. Surely there will be stages I can't clear alone." The team returned together. Dika joyfully slung his arm over his two friends' shoulders and teased, "How was it?" Hansen winked. "What do you mean? Easy peasy." Seeing their morale so high, Jenna softly praised, "Not bad at all." Seo Jin unusually agreed with a hum. Scene shift. The forge they obtained earlier appeared. The master was playing more frequently. On the second tenfold draw, he had obtained a blacksmith and a tanner to activate the smithy. The blacksmith, the tanner, and the carpenter worked together to craft equipment, most of which were E-rank swords and shields, distributed evenly among the newly summoned heroes, helping them survive significantly better. The main party received higher-grade equipment. Now Seo Jin, Aaron, and Jenna looked like real warriors. Speaking of the others, the three who didn't fight well were merged into one group. They were the ones who never showed up at training grounds and kept trying to avoid tasks. Dolph was among them, the one who lied about his class. A few days later, Zid held his weapon and complained, "Still the fourth floor today. I want to go to the next stage." Seo Jin turned to ask, "Usul, should we do the fifth stage today?" She replied, but didn't sound too sure. "I guess so." Jenna was surprised. "We're really going to the fifth floor?" Leading towards the plaza, Seo Jin reminded them, "This time will be different. Calm is good, but if you're too calm your heads might roll before you realize it." Zid got excited. "Yes, sir." Entering the dimensional rift, a blinding flash appeared. The world of the fifth floor unfolded before their eyes. First was a towering old bell tower with cracked walls. The streets and houses were heavily damaged. A gloomy atmosphere shrouded everything. The five-man team was teleported by the system to a predetermined spot. Aaron looked uneasy. "Boss, I don't see any monsters," Seo Jin instructed. "We'll move through the city first and check the situation." "Form ranks," voices quickly replied. "Yes, sir." Observing carefully along the streets, he assessed, "The whole city is empty. Not a single monster in sight. No civilians either. This isn't a subjugation mission. Suddenly Aaron flinched and pointed. Boss, over there. In front of them was a long decomposed corpse, only a skeleton leaning against a wall. Looking around, Aaron wondered, what is this place? Houses are here, but no people. Jenna worried. These are dried bloodstains. This mission is different from the others, Seo-jin answered. Those earlier ones were just warm-ups. Soon they reached the city center. Seo-jin looked at the towering bell tower and asked, Jenna, can you climb up there? She confidently replied, yes. In no time she was at the top, scanning the distance. Zid shouted from below, see anything? She drawled, well, the whole city. Suddenly she fell silent, her eyes and expression tense. I hope I'm seeing wrong. Aaron grew anxious. What is it, old lady? Being rushed while focused. She snapped a bit. Wait a second. Once she saw clearly what was far away, Jenna panicked. This doesn't look good. Can we even hold out? Her voice rang out. A massive number of goblins outside the city. Heading this way, Seo-jin shouted. How many? Jenna hurriedly. Thousands. At the same time, the system displayed the mission. 5th floor. Objective. Survival. Endure the enemy assault. Aaron couldn't believe it. Thousands of goblins. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Jenna despaired. I wish I was. Seo-jin reminded her. You can come down now. Feeling shaken, Aaron gripped his spear tightly. Boss, could the system be broken? Seo-jin reassured. Don't panic. The mission isn't to wipe them out, just to survive. As long as we endure for a while it'll be fine. Hansen trembled. Can't we run? Trying to touch a nearby door. Seo-jin was instantly warned by the system. Restricted area. He had to say, we can't go inside houses. Only keep moving. The team quickly ran forward. Aaron asked nervously, how long do we need to endure? Seo-jin assessed. 10 minutes. Just survive 10 minutes after contact. Hearing that calmed him. Then it's not impossible. But Seo-jin frowned inwardly. Unlucky. The mission time was 30 minutes, he calculated. If a survival mission appears on a low stage, the team's chance of survival is only 9%. Seo-jin ordered, don't take main streets, move into the alley. He evaluated. Higher stages are fine, but low stage survival is notorious as the hero grinder. Zid felt uneasy. Nowhere better, Seo-jin explained. All the buildings are destroyed. There will be gaps. No time to find another spot. We'll defend here. The 5 moved into a narrow alley, backs to each other, forming a defensive circle. To steady them, Seo-jin explained, because it's narrow, we'll face them one at a time. Even 1,000 won't matter. Zid and Hansen shouted together, yes, we'll give it all. Seo-jin arranged, I'll take the left, Aaron the right, Zid and Hansen the rear. Fight in turns. If unnecessary, don't jump in. Use the time to recover stamina, understand? Looking at the last member, he instructed, Jenna, stand in the center of the 3 paths. Save arrows. Don't shoot without my order. She quickly replied, yes. Seo-jin reminded again. Set up barricades before they arrive. Remember, if one side breaks, we all die. Zid moved swiftly while shouting, yes, sir. Time still showed 30 minutes. He realized, since this isn't a waiting room, time flows just like on Earth. Countdown begins only when goblins are engaged. No sooner had the thought passed than a monster appeared ahead, sniffing around. Its blood-red eyes quickly spotted them. Locking on target, the mission timer began its countdown. Seeing the goblin charge fiercely, Seo-jin cursed, damn it, not even finished setting barricades. He swung his sword powerfully, cutting it down instantly. In the blink of an eye, a swarm of goblins thundered forward like a storm. Seo-jin warned, they're coming. Assessing the dangerous situation, he instructed, use the corpses to block them. Aaron shouted back, understood. Seo-jin slashed another goblin in half. Watching them cram in, he spat a curse, damn bastards. Jenna, holding the middle, worried as Seo-jin's arms swung endlessly. If you get tired, tell me. Fighting, Seo-jin thought, this is just a loop, block, stab. Their attacks are as stupid as their looks. The monsters multiplied, gaping jaws and razor teeth snapping hungrily. Someone roared angrily, you bastards. Aaron fought with all his might yet still wavered with doubt. Just 10 minutes, right. Seo-jin attacked and yelled back, "Have I ever lied to you?" The countdown had passed 3 minutes. Watching the mass of goblins jam the alley, Seo-jin thought bitterly, "Don't you dare die meaninglessly in a place like this." The scene of the entire city on the 5th floor in the desolate twilight was terrifyingly bleak. A goblin suddenly lunged forward, opening its jagged toothed mouth to roar. A sword strike from the right pierced through its neck, killing it before it could even struggle. Seo-jin looked toward his teammates and shouted loudly, "Zid, switch places with Hansen." Swinging his sword to kill a monster, Zid exhaled heavily. "I can still hold on." Seeing his stubbornness, Seo-jin snapped, "Shut up and switch now." At this moment, he was a bit angry with himself, gritting his teeth tightly and cursing inwardly, "Damn it, my stamina is still too weak." Looking at Hansen still fighting while Zid took the chance to rest, Seo-jin worried. These guys are still at low level. Moreover, they don't have any skills. They'll quickly get exhausted if they move too much. He calculated, one strike is enough. Step by step, no wasted movement. Save as much energy as possible. Thrust, slash, then thrust again. While attacking, Seo-jin reassured everyone. These monsters are very weak. They're just the low-level creatures from the 1st floor. But his mind was in turmoil. The problem was they were too many, swarming like ants. Seeing the goblins endlessly rushing forward, someone questioned, "Don't they know fear? They keep charging like they want to die." Seo-jin's eyes flickered with alarm. He quickly shouted, "Switch again." Zid quickly stood up to change position, reminding Hansen, the opponent, who was engrossed in killing, only managed to reply briefly, "Got it." Seo-jin realized this was the most dangerous moment, immediately instructing, "Jenna, assist Zid. Remember to retrieve the arrows right after you shoot." Jenna swiftly released her first arrow. "I've been waiting for this." His voice rang out to add, "Your part also includes the goblins at the entrance." As the arrow flew and pierced into a goblin's head, Seo-jin asked again, "Hear me clearly." She answered firmly, "Yes." Aaron, defending one side alone, eyes bloodshot from fighting monsters since the beginning, suddenly spoke up, "Boss, didn't you say only 10 minutes left?" Seo-jin struggled to fight while replying, "Idiot, only 5 minutes left." In front of them, a goblin recklessly lunged like a demon. Suddenly, it opened its mouth and roared in pain, falling backward inexplicably. It turned out Jenna had planted an arrow right into its head. She angrily yanked the arrow out. "Don't come here, I'm pissed now." Suddenly, a heart-wrenching scream rang out. Zid's right hand was bitten off by a monster. The system notified, "Zid is bleeding. Stamina will gradually decrease." Seo-jin quickly rearranged, "Zid, switch with Hansen. Don't think about anything. Just take his place. Block the goblins." Hansen worried, but Zid, with time running short and seeing him unresponsive, Seo-jin snapped, "Stop crying. You'll be treated when we return." Another notification arrived. "Zid is frightened. All stats reduced by 30%. Tears streaming." He trembled and cried out, "My hand, my hand." Unable to watch anymore, Seo-jin rushed forward, cleaving a goblin in two while angrily cursing, "You crybaby," at the same time kicking Zid hard in the face. His voice sternly reminded, "Get a grip, you bastard. Do you want to drag us all down with you?" Zid froze for a moment. "I'm sorry." Seo-jin ordered, "Jenna, stop Zid's bleeding. Remember that Hansen will die if you don't switch with him." Zid gritted his teeth in pain and decisively answered, "Yes." While focusing on the front, Seo-jin suddenly sensed danger rushing from behind. Quickly turning, he slashed off the monster trying to attack him, then kicked another goblin flying. "Go back, you damn bastards." Time passed as the battle raged. The goblin horde before them was still endless like ants. Hansen, exhausted and terrified, shouted, "My sword can't hold on anymore." Seo-jin called out, "Zid, can you go?" Zid gripped his weapon tightly with his remaining hand and declared firmly, "Yes, I can fight," he said bluntly, "then switch." Hansen, check your sword. Hearing that he hurriedly touched his blade, now chipped miserably. Seo-jin realized, indeed, though better than the old rank F iron sword, it was still just an ordinary iron sword. He swiftly killed a goblin and pointed out, Even a broken blade can still be used to fight. And if you can't, you still have your shield. No sooner had he finished speaking than Seo Jin demonstrated, smashing a monster's head flat with his shield. His voice rang again. Jenna, switch with Aaron. Aaron protested. But I can still. Jenna rushed in, punching a goblin away. Rest while you can. Stop being stubborn. Unexpectedly, Seo Jin suddenly panicked inside, but forced his voice to reassure everyone. 3 minutes left. Just hold on for 3 more minutes. Inwardly he cursed. Damn it. Why does 30 minutes feel so long? Aaron, switch with Jenna. Jenna hesitated. All right, Aaron assured. Don't worry, 10 seconds of rest is more than enough. Seeing Zid worn out, Seo Jin continued reorganizing the defense. Hansen, switch. He shouted. Jenna, shoot towards Hansen. Jenna puzzled and hesitant. But very quickly Seo Jin noticed the few arrows left on her back. He cursed inwardly again. Damn it, almost out of arrows. Then decisively ordered. Anyway, if that side fails, we're dead. Just shoot them all. Jenna complied. Fine. The bow in her hands fired arrows at lightning speed. A goblin shrieked hideously as an arrow pierced its chest before collapsing. Another monster's blood-red eyes suddenly bulged. It lunged at Hansen but was dropped by 2 of Jenna's arrows. Amid the chaos, Zid panicked and warned Hansen, but before he finished, his voice faltered. Another goblin exploited the gap and stabbed him with a fatal blow. This time Zid could no longer scream, his eyes bloodshot, mouth spewing blood endlessly. Jenna swiftly felled the monster, its grotesque body collapsing heavily to the ground. At the same time Zid's body also fell heavily. She reached helplessly toward her comrade, horror in her eyes. Looking at the man lying motionless, Seo Jin's panicked voice rang out, Zid, and immediately the system sent a warning. Zid has fallen into critical condition. His life is in danger. Jenna had just drawn her bow when the feathered arrow lodged firmly into someone, and that person immediately collapsed to the ground. As she approached, she was so horrified that she stammered incoherently. In front of her was Zid, unconscious with his eyes rolled white, the system warning that he was in critical condition. Jenna trembled in fear and screamed, Zid. Seo Jin, at that moment tense and running like the wind, couldn't help but curse out loud, damn it. Jenna then blankly dropped to her knees. What should I do? Pull it out? No. If I pull it out then Zid let out faint groans. Damn it, hurts. Seo Jin was still desperately trying to escape the relentless pursuit of the goblins, unaware of the current situation, helplessly calling out, Zid, help me a little, just 30 more seconds, come on. A goblin was right behind him, its grotesque green arm swinging its weapon forward. Seo Jin quickly turned to see and barely dodged in time. Luckily, its wooden spear was caught tight under his arm. Seo Jin seized the chance to counterattack, making the goblin stumble, and he rushed back to his teammate. Hansen, deal with the ones on the left. I'll handle here. The man anxiously protested. But what about Zid? Seo Jin snapped. He's too tired, so he's resting. Stop whining and go. But just a second later, the system delivered grim news. Zid has returned to the embrace of the goddess. His brave fighting spirit will always be remembered. Seo Jin couldn't let grief take over, only focusing on the storm of goblins in front of him. Jenna, Zid is gone. Let it go. Come help me here. She gritted her teeth to suppress the pain. Yes. The goblins grew more ferocious and savage, yet Seo Jin had no fear facing them head-on. Jenna, bundling all her grief at Zid's sudden death into her attacks, shouted, How much time is left? At that very moment she awakened a skill. Novice short sword wielder reached level 3. Learned quick step. Seo Jin fought while shouting, I don't have time to check. Just cut them down. These freak awakenings are useless if we die here. In the urgent chaos, Hansen made a careless mistake. Thick red blood spurted out along with his desperate scream. Hansen is bleeding out. HP will drop steadily. Surrounded by goblins right in front, Hansen had no way to escape, so he begged desperately, Please, save me. I don't want to die here. Terror struck suddenly. His strength nearly drained, Hansen cried in agony, Please. Seo Jin didn't want anyone to die, but he couldn't do anything now. He could only watch helplessly, teeth clenched. The goblins, sensing prey, didn't let go. They all pounced. Hansen, terrified of death, screamed in despair, "Save me, please." Seo Jin couldn't risk the whole group for one man, so he firmly ordered, "Jenna, Aaron, move with me." Jenna hesitated. "But what about Zid and Hansen?" Seo Jin immediately hammered it into her. "If you want to mourn them, then survive this wave first." At the same time, the second sad news came. Hansen has returned to the embrace of the goddess. His brave fighting spirit will always be remembered. The ruins were now nothing but desolation with lingering smoke. One figure slid, feet scrambling for balance. Jenna, Aaron, and Seo Jin stood close, ready in defensive stance. Jenna couldn't suppress her unease. "Will we die here?" he barked. "Don't jinx it." Suddenly Seo Jin had an idea. Glancing aside, "Jenna, climb that wall behind us." She startled and asked back, "You're telling me to run alone?" Seo Jin impatiently shouted, "What are you saying? You climb first, then I'll follow." The goblins were storming in like a flood, their chaotic shouts echoing, "They're coming, don't stab." To protect the others, Seo Jin dashed forward, slashing non-stop, shouting, "We won't last, killing one at a time." His eyes gleamed, each strike more brutal. Now a single sweep of his blade took goblin heads. Jenna soon climbed up and called down, "I'm up, hurry." Seo Jin instantly sprang, grabbing the wooden railing, yelling, "Aaron, you go." Jenna, unwilling to leave anyone behind, reached out, "Take my hand." Aaron, dripping sweat, looked up at the two safe above. Then he grasped Jenna's hand as she pulled. But before he was fully up, a goblin lunged and drove its weapon deep into his calf. Realizing the dire situation, Seo Jin leapt back down, sword cleaving its back. "Jenna, hold him tight, don't let go." His eyes were now fiercer than the monster's, his gaze sharper than the blood-soaked blade. The goblin's weapon was still lodged in Aaron's leg, so Seo Jin made a bold decision. "I'll cut your leg." Aaron couldn't bear the pain, screaming a moment later. Once it was done, Seo Jin hauled himself up onto the railing, urging Jenna, "Pull him up." The system warning, "Aaron is in critical condition." While the three schemed to survive, the goblins weren't dumb, climbing atop each other, also trying to ascend. "Smart, huh? Smart. What do you mean?" With Aaron injured, Seo Jin ordered the only girl, "Use Aaron's spear. Stab any that come close." She swiftly obeyed. "Got it." Seo Jin struck down each goblin hand reaching for the railing, preventing them from climbing up. If they got up, there'd be nowhere to run. At the climax, Jenna panicked. "I dropped the spear. Now what?" Seo Jin snapped quick, asking now, "Kick them." More sharp hands clawed the area. Jenna weakened. "Too many. How much time left? We can't last." Seo Jin, as if with a clock in his head, shouted wide-eyed, 30 more seconds. Just 30. She slumped, feeling like hours passed. He urgently motivated, "Trust me, hold on." The countdown truly showed 32 seconds left. Seo Jin vowed, "This time I'm not lying, just a little more." Tension peaked when a goblin's hand rose higher, both gripping the railing, startling Seo Jin back. But he was the type to face it, yanking his arm back to swing. Yet death seemed to choose him before he struck. A goblin's blade sank deep into his abdomen. It grinned with glee, mocking him. Seo Jin endured to the last second, teeth clenching against agony, hissing faintly. Ignoring the blood pouring, trembling hands still raised his sword. "You bastards." But no willpower could overcome the wound, too deep, and when the goblin yanked its blade free, Seo Jin cried out in misery and fell back. His face was a storm of emotions, anguish filling the ruins. The situation grew tense when the system had to send a warning. Han was losing HP. He would gradually bleed out. Jenna could not avoid a similar state. At that moment he collapsed to the ground, head hanging low in a mess of rising thoughts. "Damn it. Could it be that I'm going to die here, at stage 5? It's only stage 5. This is so unfair. I don't understand why I encounter so many obstacles. On Earth, this would never have happened. Why me? Why? Why? Those bastards." Those questions flared like torches, igniting his fighting spirit. The arm holding the sword swung straight down on a goblin's head. Immediately after, Seo Jin's 2 arms spun like a storm, his eyes radiating terrifying madness. Not over yet. I'm only at stage 5. It seemed at that moment his pupils could emit sparks, his spirit, like his blade, sharpened with every second. No way, impossible. The goblins charged all at once, trying to tear him apart alive. But he had already regained his focus, his hand gripping the sword tight, slashing decisively. His body moved swiftly, taking their lives one by one. In a flash, goblins were shattered into pieces. No longer swarming him like before, Seo Jin fought, while solidifying his resolve. There is no way I'll die in a place like this. Thick black-red blood spurted out. Severed heads with snarling teeth and bulging eyes fell freely through the air. Seo Jin had awakened the berserk skill, his teeth grinding as he hissed, "Come at me, you bastards." Seeing the goblins still laughing before him only burned his insides further. Even breathing was painful. His body screamed in agony. Thinking that, his determination flared even hotter. In less than a second, Seo Jin's mouth opened to unleash a furious roar. "You want to kill me? Fine then, all of you come at once, you damn bastards." With that, he lunged forward, slashing madly. Not a single one escaped his blade. He seemed to have forgotten his earlier wounds, even declaring firmly, "Even if my sword breaks, I will not fall." A familiar sight replayed as Seo Jin dashed like the wind, his sword tearing the air and reaping goblin lives. The pitiful screams rang endlessly. Seo Jin's raging aura overwhelmed them all. He fought so furiously that his blade shattered into pieces. The goblins, emboldened, dared to surge forward. But Seo Jin did not surrender, even if his sword had splintered. His steadfast spirit urged him to keep stepping toward danger. With no sword, he still carried a sharp will, and Seo Jin would not let it lie dormant now. "I will not stop fighting." The broken blade now looked like an ordinary dagger, yet he still charged straight into the goblins. At that moment, the countdown timer froze. 4 perfect zeros stood still. The goblins instantly turned into phantoms, unable to cause more harm. While Seo Jin still wished to continue fighting, the goblins had already turned to stone and gradually vanished. Their grotesque faces dripping saliva, hungry for prey, were now paralyzed. Jenna was so bewildered she could not even blink. Aaron shut his eyes tightly, not daring to peek. At last, the system delivered good news. Stage cleared. Han, Jenna, and Aaron leveled up. MVP was Han, and they received plenty of items. A column of blue light spun around the three as the game's announcement echoed. "You have cleared Stage 5. Daily dungeon unlocked. Gather materials and try strengthening heroes in the waiting room." The chaos was over. Shields, swords, and bows fell freely. Aaron, exhausted, lay sprawled on the floor clutching his wound. Jenna's legs gave out and she collapsed. Only Seo Jin remained standing still, face dazed. His breathing had eased, but his expression still showed confusion. Jenna, horrified, still could not close her mouth. At last she realized all the trials had passed. Laughter mingled with tears in contradiction. Seo Jin's eyes stayed wide, brows furrowed tight, as if something still troubled him. When Jenna held out her hand, he stirred at last, listening as she said, "Can you help me up? I'm exhausted. I can't stand." Gripping Seo Jin's hand, she asked, "We're still alive, right?" He answered, "Yeah. The waiting room is forming, so we must have cleared the stage." Jenna, still wary, said, "Stage 5 was that hard?" If so, then Seo Jin hurriedly cut her off to end her fears. No, this time was an exception. The system had set it up that if one fell, the others would follow. We shouldn't have been trapped like fish in a torn net if I had upgraded Zid and Hansen. Later, if the party is trained well, it won't be this hard. It's just unlucky we got this kind of mission while still weak. Jenna's mood lightened slightly. She nodded, "I understand." Yet moments later Jenna still lowered her head in sorrow. Even if Seo Jin comforted her, Zid and Hansen's loss would remain a wound not easily soothed. Along with her, Seo Jin supported Aaron back. Seeing the three appear, Deeker rushed out joyfully. "You did great. Big Sis Chloe has prepared delicious food. Are Zid and Hansen still inside?" Seo Jin didn't want to hide it, so he said outright, They sacrificed themselves. Dika, unwilling to believe, deliberately asked, huh? Seo-jin bowed his head and clarified, they're gone. Each word was like a blade stabbing into Dika's heart. His eyes could not conceal the shock and sorrow. The others, upon hearing, could not bear to utter a word. At that moment Asil sent a notice. The master is calling names. Whoever is called, please step out. It was too great a loss. Party 1 had gone and 5, returned 3. With Zid and Hansen gone, only Eren, Jenna, and Seo-jin remained. Returning to the familiar room with the tightly closed wooden door, Seo-jin threw himself onto the bed and buried his face in the blanket. The thoughts at this moment lit up in his head. I am not intending to cry over the one who has fallen, because as part of the vanguard climbing the tower, death is something often seen. But now thinking back, did I really learn the frenzy skill? Calmness and frenzy cannot coexist together. This is 100% a system error. Calmness helps me keep clarity. Frenzy abandons it. In return, my strength skyrockets. Perhaps that relates to the fact that I am both a master and also a hero. I am not sure. But today I do not want to think about this. His eyes slowly closed tightly. His voice filled with fatigue. From tomorrow I will be busy. So today just lie down and rest. Early the next morning, when the sky was still tinged with a faint purple of the night, Jenna was already plunging into sword training, sweat dripping down her face and body. Looking at Jenna, Seo-jin pondered for a moment. Yesterday she had learned a new skill. In addition, she had talent and was hard-working. While Eren, though going through many things, did not learn any skill. I only gained 5 points each training. Nothing surprising. I only reached 3 stars. He is currently a level 9 novice, with strength, intelligence, vitality, agility all reaching absolute level. Skills accumulated quite a lot but still low. While doing handstands, Seo-jin still did not let his mind rest. I will soon reach level 10, the highest level for a 1-star hero. I must soon aim to upgrade to 2 stars. But while he was focusing on important thoughts, he suddenly saw Jenna sitting in front of him at some point, her hand touching his firm abs with an obviously lustful expression. He startled and shouted, "What are you doing? Take your hand off." She did not withdraw, but grinned more wickedly. "Looks delicious, doesn't it?" Seo-jin also felt embarrassed, so quickly put on his shirt. Jenna pouted and sulked. "I did not wear it out," he coldly said. "It will wear out." In his head, somewhat curious, the more he looked the more he could not believe she was like that. After what happened yesterday, she still acted foolishly. Jenna stood for a while, then suddenly remembered. It seems Eren will not come. Seo-jin did not care much and brushed it off. Leave him, probably brooding in his room. He is close with those 3. She rubbed her chin, still troubled by some things. Usually waking early to train is the right thing. Seo-jin heard her hesitating and put his hands on his hips, continuing. Dika is the same. Those 2 like training. Suddenly he darted his eyes in a direction, voice full of sarcasm. Unlike those half-baked guys, they are busy avoiding being grouped in, only training if the master plays. Zid and Hansen also have potential. If I train them further, they would be very useful. The 2 who sacrificed yesterday should have been some of them, not those. Jenna saw Seo-jin's mood turning chaotic, so quickly changed the subject. Let's go train. When the 2 were about to leave, someone finally arrived. Sorry, I'm late. Seeing the expression of helplessness mixed with pain on Eren's face, Seo-jin thought, you seem to feel guilty. He clenched his teeth, not denying. If I could be stronger. Seo-jin did not show reproach, even overly rational, as he said. They could not pass that stage because they were too weak. Not your fault. Time slowly passed. Seo-jin mused again. It has been a month since I came to this world. It seems like only 10 days on Earth. I can perceive everything happening in this world better now. Usually before I used to log in once every 3 days. Morning, noon, afternoon, evening, enter the game to see the developments that might occur. Also reference ways to clear different tower floors depending on difficulty, lineup, and each character's skills. Then make decisions by time. Soon Usul stood with hands on hips, raising her chin, laughing heartily. Everyone seems to be doing well. Look at Han's example. He survived perfectly in floor 5. Master is very pleased with him. Jenna saw her grating laugh and could not hold back. Leaned close to Seo-jin, whispering, "Why does she seem to pay attention to you?" He indifferently replied, Oh, that is a secret. Usul indeed was only gentle with Seo Jin. With the others she glared and cursed more than a stepchild. And you all train harder. Luck won't always be there. Survive with your own strength. He wearily quickened his pace. Better avoid her for a while. Before the new match, the master announced, the team has been created, including Han, Jenna, Louis, Jeffrey and Owen. Everyone, the space rift has opened. Get ready. Unease suddenly struck, making Jenna dazed, wondering, I don't know those three. Why such an arrangement? But then she clicked her tongue, telling herself, don't overthink. During battle we will get to know each other. The wall in the main room glowed and showed words. A dungeon feast. Will renew daily. Daily dungeon. Collect rare materials. Kendout Forest. 11 o'clock. Seo Jin slowly heightened vigilance and focused. Just as I expected. Unlocked. At this moment Owen timidly came closer, asking quietly, will we fight with you? He politely replied, what is your name? He hesitantly answered, I am Owen. Currently our meager strength won't help much. Seo Jin calmly said, don't worry. You won't have to fight much. Finally they were transported to a forest. Party 4 has entered daily dungeon. Kendout Forest, super easy level. They will return after collecting enough materials. Dungeon will change daily. Remember to check carefully. Jenna looked around, feeling vague. Where are the enemies? Could it be another special mission like Stage 5? Seo Jin suddenly stood right next to her and pinched her cheek. She immediately scolded. What are you doing? He nonchalantly said. Funny. What? Jenna snapped. I don't find it funny. He released her cheek, bent down, picked up a stone and explained. This is a place called Daily Dungeon. A place to collect materials. Owen looked at the glowing orb suspiciously, asking. Then what is this? Seo Jin quickly answered. Trash can? No, actually it can be considered a shopping basket. He tossed the stone in and a notification appeared. Han has collected trash. Then he carefully explained further. Whatever material you collect, just put in there. Like branches, whenever Seo Jin threw something in, a notice popped up. He reminded members. After that it will be stored in our warehouse to craft items. The game gave a hint. 100 branches will create 1 plank, but need a carpenter to convert. Owen did not expect the challenge so simple, so while moving he asked. That's all. Jenna was happy. So we just need to do this. No need to fight monsters. But Seo Jin said, you are different. Come hunt with me. She lost enthusiasm, voice disappointed. I thought finally I had easy work. What are we hunting? Boar, deer, or rabbit? Now we get to eat meat. Both silently hid in a bush watching. In front a deer was grazing. Jenna's eyes sparkled. Found prey. Meat. Wait for me. Hunting instinct helped her hit the prey with 1 arrow. Doing what she was familiar with, she cheerfully exclaimed, looks delicious. Seo Jin doubted and asked, do you know how to butcher it? Jenna confidently replied, of course. How long have I lived like this? After letting blood drain, skin it and remove organs, the fluent words from her mouth left Seo Jin speechless. Then as he was about to do something, he instructed first. Make sure to collect and put the materials into the portal. Don't miss any. Jenna curiously asked, where are you going? He answered curtly, hunting of course. I am sick of eating potatoes. Before his eyes unfolded a magical scene like a fairy tale. A white waterfall pouring into a clear blue lake, mist spreading between mossy cliffs, wildflowers and glowing mushrooms dotted, purple-blue light shimmering. But those things could not move Seo Jin. He was tense, looking at the countdown clock. About 30 minutes left. When time is up, the whole team will be summoned back. Near the shimmering water appeared a creature's shadow. Seo Jin rejoiced. Found it. Forest King. A rare monster only appearing in forest dungeons. Its low-grade attribute stones used as upgrade materials, not always dropped after killing, but easy to locate areas with high drop rate. Without hesitation, Seo Jin stepped firmly. His movement startled a brown deer drinking water to raise its head. Before it could see his face, its head was severed. Another deer rushed with antlers straight at Seo Jin. He dashed, slashing wildly, sword light crisscrossing the air. In a blink he stood before the Forest King, arrogantly saying, your lovers are all gone. Angry, aren't you? It glared with glowing eyes, snorting in rage. Seo Jin, on the contrary, was eager. He stared straight into its eyes and raised his sword provocatively. Come on then. While the situation on Seo Jin's side was extremely tense, in another location within the forest, the atmosphere was much quieter. Suddenly, Jeffrey's panicked scream shattered the silence. "Oh my god, it's a monster!" The terrified cry startled Owen as well. A monster. From afar, a massive dark figure gradually emerged with glowing crimson eyes. But as he looked more closely, he murmured in doubt, "No, it's not." Soon after, Owen recognized the figure stepping out of the forest, carrying a heavy body on his shoulder. "Han, is that you?" In response to the question, Seo Jin replied coldly, "Don't you recognize me?" Without another word, he threw the massive head onto the ground, making everyone shudder. Seeing it, Jenna's eyes widened in disbelief as she exclaimed, "How could there be such a huge deer?" Seo Jin only spoke in a weary voice, "I'm exhausted, so give me a hand." He then inquired about the other's progress. "How many did you catch?" she replied while collecting royal blood. "2 deer and 1 wild boar. Everyone in the waiting room can eat as much as they want." At that moment, Jenna glanced at the Forest King's severed head with a puzzled look. "But why did you bring its head back? It's not like it's tasty." However, Seo Jin calmly answered, "I couldn't cut off its antlers." Pausing briefly, she examined it more closely before blurting out, "Now that I look carefully, I just noticed, even though it's female, it has antlers." Hearing that, he voiced his surprise. "You can tell if it's male or female just from the head?" Jenna immediately responded with pride, "Of course, I've lived here long enough." Right at that moment, the system suddenly displayed a notification. "Ta-da! Skill awakened. Jenna has obtained the skill Ancient Forest Hunter." After reading it, Seo Jin silently watched as she happily cut the monster's antlers. She awakened again. He gazed intently at the green stone in his hand, his eyes reflecting a moment of thought. "She'll probably rise in rank easily." At that time, the system updated additional information. Low-grade wind attribute stone, filled with the aura of the forest, can be used to craft items and rank up heroes. By the time the group returned to their resting place, night had already fallen. Seeing the delicious dishes laid out on the table, a craving voice rang out, "Oh, meat! How long has it been since we had meat?" After eating their fill, Jenna cheerfully walked up to Seo Jin. "Everyone seems really excited. They ate the whole deer already." Yet he maintained his cold and distant tone. "Now that we've eaten, follow me." Before that, Seo Jin had carefully considered everything. Daily dungeon. This is a system that changes dungeon locations depending on the day of the week. Today's location is the Sinmyral Plateau, a dungeon for collecting more attribute stones. As both he and Jenna stepped through the teleportation gate, the surrounding space instantly shifted, and the system displayed, "Temporary party, Han and Jenna, entering Sinmyral Plateau, super easy." The moment they set foot in the new land, doubt spread across her face. "But will gathering materials really make me stronger?" Seo Jin calmly replied as if he had foreseen the question. "If you want to become stronger, you need to find something called attribute stones. That's why we're here." Suddenly, Jenna's steps carried her toward the cliffside. She savored the rare moment of dusk across the vast plateau. "Look at this view, and the breeze is so refreshing." Standing beside her, his sharp eyes caught something unusual. It turned out Seo Jin had noticed bright red flowers among the jagged rocks and wondered, "The tree of life? I saw it once in a drawing. They're the main ingredient for making healing potions. I should collect them later." Not long after, an eerie sound echoed throughout the stillness. It was the cry of the Wolf King being surrounded by Seo Jin and Jenna. In the end, thanks to their teamwork, the two managed to bring the beast down. She was astonished by the result. "We actually had enough strength to take down a wolf." Yet he remained vigilant and spoke sternly. "We don't know if the others might smell the blood here, so hurry up." Hearing that, Jenna quickly agreed, Okay. While fumbling with the corpse, she suddenly asked, "What do we do with its fangs and claws?" At that moment, Seo Jin examined the stone in his hand. "Extract them all and set them aside." At the same time, the system displayed information. Wind attribute can be used to craft items and rank up heroes. Once the tension had passed, Jenna unexpectedly said, "It's so peaceful here." However, he still remained wary of the beast's kin and reminded her, Wipe the blood off yourself first before saying that. Yet Jenna voiced her deepest wish. I wish it could always be like this, hunting and gathering herbs, having food, and sleeping under a roof. Pausing briefly, she suddenly added, oh, if the master wasn't around, this would be paradise. That offhand remark froze Seo Jin. Hey, I'm the former master. Still, Jenna innocently continued, I wish the master would never show up. Each word made his mood sink further. In his mind, Seo Jin wondered, do the ones in Niflheim think the same? That it would be better if the master never came? He glanced sideways at her. You don't want to fight, do you? Being on the front lines isn't just that. There are countless other tasks. Stop dreaming. She revealed a hint of helplessness. Are you planning to take me somewhere else? If things improve, what more could I wish for? Her lament left Seo Jin stunned. It really is exhausting. Whatever he was thinking, the corner of his lips curled into a faint, vague smile. Time passed, and soon several days had gone by. Seo Jin's group began entering the 6th floor to fulfill the system's requirement. Exploration mission. Discover a strange location. This time the notification displayed that Dika was joining Party 1. He spoke in a voice brimming with eagerness and nervousness. I look forward to working with everyone. Upon arrival, Aaron surveyed the surroundings and furrowed his brow. Looks like today we're not entering a daily dungeon. Meanwhile, Seo Jin muttered to himself. Scouting, a different kind of rare mission. Unlike usual, he seemed a little tense. Hey, I don't see any enemies. Could this be like the 5th floor? Seo Jin immediately dismissed the unease with a firm command. Don't raise your voices, keep low, and don't rustle the forest. The team obeyed at once, but their exaggerated movements left him speechless. I said keep low, not roll around on the ground. Seeing their awkwardness, Seo Jin reassured them with a calm but resolute tone. It seems there's nothing here. We'll clear this floor if we meet the conditions. Hearing that, their worry eased. Understood. Not long after, in the distance, 3 level 8 goblins appeared. A hesitant whisper broke the silence. Do we have to kill them? Then they noticed the item one of them carried. Wait, they have a horn, which means they can call for reinforcements. Seo Jin shouted up toward the higher ground. Jenna, do you see anything else? From above, she squinted and reported back. Looks like there's a goblin village nearby. She quickly leaped down and added, they're all gathering there, maybe around 100 of them. Hearing that, he immediately judged. Looks like they're trying to lure us. If we rush in without scouting properly, we'll get ambushed. Wasting no time, Seo Jin devised a battle plan. Jenna, shoot the goblin sitting on the right. Aaron, throw your spear at the one I'll drive out. Aaron immediately agreed. Got it. Then Seo Jin glanced at Dika and continued assigning. As for you, if anything happens, jump in and back us up. The boy seemed nervous. Yes. As soon as the words left his mouth, the team moved into action. A powerful arrow sliced through the air and struck its target, piercing straight into a goblin's forehead, sending it to hell. Without giving the others a chance to escape, Aaron closed in from behind. His spear drove mercilessly through another goblin, killing it on the spot. The last goblin panicked, hastily raising the horn to its mouth, ready to call for help. But before the sound could escape, Seo Jin's blade cleanly severed the creature's head. I won't let you call for reinforcements. After Seo Jin defeated the last goblin, the system immediately announced, Stage cleared, MVP Han, rewards 5,000 G. Watching from afar, Dika couldn't hide his surprise and stammered, It's over already. However, Seo Jin only replied with a doubtful look, Not yet, I'll go check something out. It was as if there was an urge echoing in his mind, that there would be a clue about the next stage in here. He rushed to investigate and muttered to himself, There can't be a quest, even if it's randomly assigned. That doesn't mean I can't anticipate what's coming. Soon after, Seo Jin arrived at a village deep in the forest. There, some goblins were desperately restraining ferocious wolves. At that moment, he observed from a distance and pondered, a goblin village, I wonder how many there are. Suddenly, a sharp monster sensed something unusual. It looked straight toward where Seo Jin was hiding but couldn't see anything. For at that moment, the dimensional gate suddenly opened, pulling him and his companions back to base. Upon arrival, Jenna, unable to contain her curiosity, questioned him. "Why did you run off alone like that?" And Seo Jin replied wearily, "I wanted to check the surroundings of that area." His mind at this moment was filled with doubts. "In the dungeon, I once saw a hint about the flow quest, but I still don't understand its meaning." Seo Jin's mood became more tangled, wondering whether what he had just seen could provide any clue. Damn it, so frustrating. He sank deeper into chaotic thoughts. It's not yet time for the flow to appear. This time it came sooner than I expected. Right then, Chloe rushed in a panic. "Humph, there's a big problem." She tried to stay calm as she explained. "A few people who look quite strange have arrived." Yet Seo Jin remained utterly unfazed and replied calmly, "This isn't the first time." Seeing that, Chloe explained more clearly. "These people are different from the previous ones. They carry weapons, and the atmosphere is very strange." Hearing this, Seo Jin's expression slightly hardened. "They're here." A suspicion arose in his heart. High-level hero summoning. At that exact moment, the system displayed a stream of information. The system is linking with the Wolf Main Mercenary Guild. The 5 summoned ones have a close bond with you. Separate them to fight individually to maximize strength, along with a recommendation to top up for the first time. After processing the news, Seo Jin's suspicion grew. "Ustle, did the master spend money?" Hearing that, she straightforwardly replied, "Yes. He bought the beginner summoning pack for $50. Then he continued asking, 2,500 gems and 50,000 gold, right?" Deep inside, he quietly reflected. "So they came here through the high-level summoning pack. If it were me, I'd have pulled before stage 5 and merged them into one team already." Afterward, he softly reassured her. "Chloe, go back to the kitchen. They're not going to eat you. They're just a little unusual." Saying that, Seo Jin turned away, leaving behind a short but firm statement. "Disband the party. No matter how special the newcomers are, it won't change much anyway." The yard ahead was eerily quiet, with only a few leaves falling. Edith stood leaning against the wall with a pensive look. Suddenly, Jenna appeared out of nowhere. "Hello?" Startled, she stammered back, "Hello." Right after that, Jenna cheerfully introduced herself. "I'm Jenna Shirai. What's your name?" Edith softly stated, "My name is Edith Callan." Immediately afterward, Jenna pointed toward Seo Jin. "That handsome guy over there, a bit rough, but he's actually pretty kind." Hearing that, he got annoyed. "Shut up already." At that moment, her information panel appeared in full with her stats and inherent skills. After checking, Seo Jin silently assessed. A 3-star hero, so she already has a class. Seems she uses short swords more than bows. Then he looked straight at her. "You said your name is Edith, right? I want to talk to you a bit. Is now okay?" Quickly, they changed locations, and then a hand gently placed a glass of water on the table. Edith spoke first. "Do you understand this place well?" Seo Jin kept a stern look on his face. "There are some things I know, but not always. And you, do you remember how you came here?" Hearing that question, Edith's face turned slightly hazy. "I don't know either, but what I do know is..." Pausing for a moment, Edith added, "I was summoned here to fight. That's all. The more I try to remember, the more my head feels like it's being split open." Hearing that, he probed further. "Do you understand anything about synthesis or other things?" She hesitated a bit, then spoke. "Synthesis, sacrificing one card to strengthen another card." Hearing that answer, Seo Jin silently confirmed. "Just as I thought. The amount of information they know depends on their rank when summoned." Then he deduced, "Judging from your clothes, I can guess you used to be a mercenary." Hearing that, Edith sincerely confessed without hiding anything. "I was once part of the Wolf Main Mercenary Guild. I remember I was on a mission in Halcyon, but when I woke up, I was here." That name piqued Jenna's interest. Wolf Main. Sounds cool. At that moment,
Seo Jin said nothing.
Only calculating silently. Since she's a 3-star hero, she must be a higher-ranked member than other mercenaries. Though she is also a mercenary, it's still different from Malmont, since he's a 2-star hero. Meanwhile, Jenna's face showed clear excitement. Amazing, sounds interesting. In contrast, Edith seemed more dazed. Really, her current mood was a bit tense, but now, before she could finish, a voice echoed from outside. Avent, Jaken, Wave, Benign, Edith, Master is calling you, come out quickly. Seo Jin calmly pointed toward the door. You and your friends are being called out to the square. At that moment, a heavy foot stomped on the floor. Who's that? Jaken scowled and grumbled. Who dares call my name? Then Edith slowly stood up. Seems like the master is calling us. Let's go. At that time, the guy was gnawing on a huge drumstick. It's been so long since I've tasted meat. I want to see what that guy looks like. Saying that, the two left and slammed the door shut. Immediately, Chloe ran out with a regretful look. That guy said he wanted to eat meat and just walked off with the drumstick. If cooked properly, that would have been enough for 5 mouths. Hearing this, Jenna wanted to flare up. Then we should make him give it back. But Seo Jin didn't hesitate and decisively stood up to the square. When everyone had gathered, the system updated their status. Party 5 will be renamed Wolf Main. Arrange the team by dragging and dropping heroes in. Adding heroes to Wolf Main. Avent, Jaken, Wave, Benign, Edith, Avent, 3-star, has been chosen as the leader of Wolf Main. In another corner, Jeffrey, upon seeing Seo Jin, hurried to accuse. They look suspicious, they carry weapons. But Seo Jin only gave a slight glance with disdain. I also carry weapons. The man stubbornly argued. But I just have this feeling. Seo Jin coldly cut him off. That they're bad people, right? Hearing exactly what he was about to say, Jeffrey quickly confirmed, that's right. Seo Jin muttered to himself, this fuss is nothing yet. Right then, Usul eagerly pointed forward. Come on, newbies, get in. Master is waiting for you. Avent only responded with a short, understood, while Jaken seemed excited. Let's give it our all. Standing outside, Seo Jin observed them all and assessed. They may not look like bad people, but they are very strong. Afterward, he sought his teammate's opinion. Jenna, what do you think? She gave her own judgment. Edith seems kind, but I'm not sure about the others. Then Seo Jin turned to Jeffrey and said coldly, so what do you want me to do? Protect you people? Hearing the question, sweat trickled down the man's forehead. We'd be very grateful to you. Suddenly, Seo Jin sneered, without pay. Those words nearly left the man speechless. Well, you're really strong. But he only replied emotionlessly, before you all belittled training. So why come begging me for help now? If they seem that strong, then kneel down and beg them. Isn't that the survival tactic you always use? In his eyes full of disgust, Seo Jin growled inwardly. Forget Aaron, these guys aren't even on Dika's level. Lazing around all day, eating all the meat Jenna hunted. Even having chances to learn a trade from Chloe or other artisans, but ignoring them, only pretending to work hard to avoid being synthesized. Finally, he clenched his teeth and spat out each word, get lost from my sight, before I lose my temper. Seo Jin immediately gave Jeffrey a cold, sharp glance along with a farewell sentence. Get lost, before I lose my temper. Of course, after hearing that, he was even more scared than the others. A while later, Seo Jin together with Jenna and the other heroes were gathering at the square. Noticing the guilt clearly shown on Aaron's face, he reminded him, Aaron, while you were on the verge of death due to blood loss, they were either lazy or just burying their heads in sleep. There is no need to pity them at all. Just then, Dika appeared with a bruised appearance as if he had just been thoroughly massaged. You just finished fighting, right? His reaction was like his closely kept secret had been exposed. How did you know? It was not necessary to have clairvoyance to guess what happened with Dika. His swollen eyes like a mountain made it obvious. Beside him, Aaron finally explained everything. Just a sparring match, requested by himself. He sighed and said to the two of them, all right, I understand. Go inside and rest. Then he turned to look at Jenna, who was nosily watching. And why are you tagging along? A notification from the game appeared. The stage has been cleared. The Wolf main group has returned victorious. Just a bunch of small fry goblins, mere child's play. How could they ever trouble me? Facing Seo Jin for the first time, Avent sent him a probing gaze. Who are you? Maintaining a calm attitude, a smirk appeared on his face. Who am I? Along with that came a mocking reply. Well, that's none of your business either. Outraged by Seo-jin's obvious contempt, Jaken furiously shouted, How dare you be so insolent, you brat? Jenna immediately retorted, It was you guys who were rude first. Wave frowned in annoyance. What woman is this? Ignoring the commotion behind, Avent calmly introduced himself. I am Avent de Jax, mercenary squad Wolf Mane, and you. Finally Seo-jin stopped mocking. Han Seo-jin. He continued with his questions. Do you have weapons? Are you also a mercenary? He replied briefly. No, just a farmer. Eyes wide open, it seemed his words had surprised Avent. Farmer. The gathering earlier included all the population here, right? Once again Seo-jin replied, Exactly. Giving him one last glance, he seemed to be plotting something. Understood. The system notification appeared. Performing 10x summon. Master. I wonder which new heroes will appear. Seo-jin thought to himself. Suddenly summoning 10x at once, huh? I get it. He only summoned due to the situation. Then a large gate opened, beginning synthesis. Master, drag and drop the hero you want to sacrifice for the synthesis. The heroes used for sacrifice will die. Entering inside, Demon and the others were confused. What is this place? What now? Usul appeared with visible anger. What is going on here? Oh my god, Master, you are an idiot. Jaken, Demon, Lexical, get inside the synthesis chamber now. Demon immediately resisted. Who are you? And how do you know my name? Besides, she did not let him finish. Master told you to get in, so shut up and obey. Suddenly, Jaken gripped his neck tightly. You are Demon, right? Because you really look like him. Demon trembled under his grip. I? Witnessing everything from afar, Jenna exclaimed in shock. Impossible. However, these matters were too common for Seo-jin. Maybe, though it still didn't make it easier for her to accept. But they had just been summoned. Standing among the one-star heroes, Avent ordered Jaken to continue. Bring another one, he shouted while still choking Demon. Who among you is lexical? Watching those dragged away, Seo-jin sighed. He had just been tricked. After all, it was his first time recharging in this game. Beside him, Jenna expressed indignation at the chaos before her eyes. This is wrong. At least they should be given a chance. However, at that moment, he was lost in his own thoughts. Right now, Wadever was making a huge mistake. True that one-stars were useless, but among them there could still be someone with potential. Yet he sacrificed the just summoned one-stars without even checking their abilities. Jaken, when returning, had already advanced to 3-star. I can feel power overflowing in my body. Usul called out to continue the process of catching more for synthesis. Alvant, Sorial, Daniel, everyone panicked and began to flee. What just happened? Please, I beg you. The Wolf Mane squad rushed towards the one-star heroes. Catch them. Don't let anyone escape. Turning back to glare at Edith, he scolded her harshly. What are you hesitating for? Are you not a Wolf Mane member? Shutting her eyes tightly and trembling, it was as if an inner war was raging inside her. In the end, Edith chose submission. She drew her sword and followed the Wolf Mane. Meanwhile, Seo-jin suggested to Usul an idea. Usul, give Master a hint. Even if they are 1-star, not testing them before fusing is such a waste. Give me a minute. Tips. 1-star heroes may also hold some potential. Instead of sacrificing them all, at least spend some time checking them. He had been through a lot since arriving here. Many events had taken place, enough to change a person. Suddenly, Jaken rushed at Seo-jin with hostility. Who do you think you are to meddle in our business? He responded calmly. Meddle? I am simply giving some advice. Taking advantage of his loose mouth, Seo-jin gifted him a bowl of chili for later. What's wrong? Struck a nerve, so you're mad. It seemed Jaken was not one for jokes. He roared before swinging his axe at him. Damn it, you bastard. Instantly, an arrow whizzed past his neck, enough to warn him not to act rashly. She drew another arrow. I missed on purpose just now. He turned and cursed. That bitch too. The situation was getting more tense. Are you raising weapons against us? Edith clung to Avent's arm. Enough. Stop now, Avent. It's late. He immediately shoved her away. Shut up. Slowly raising his sword toward Seo-jin, Even one wrong word could spark a duel. Do you know who we are? He responded with a smirk, very clearly. Raising his head, Seo Jin looked at the wolf mane like something disgusting. Trash. Immediately, the notification appeared. 1-star Han and wolf mane have become enemies. Please monitor carefully the relationships between these heroes. Seeing the danger, Usul tried to stop things from escalating. Stop at once. Battles between heroes are forbidden. Do you want to be punished by Master? As soon as she finished, she was pierced by Seo Jin's gaze. I don't think it's forbidden. Usul realized she had no way to directly stop them anymore. True, not forbidden, but... Then he turned to directly ask the wolf mane to confess. You're not mercenaries at all, are you? Haven't still tried to act to the end. What nonsense are you saying? Of course we are real mercenaries, only acting when hired. At this point, Seo Jin had no respect left for them. Nonsense, you're just bandits. His words were like throwing a spark into dry straw under the sun. You're crossing the line. Do you want to die that badly? Ignoring him, Seo Jin turned to Usul. These kinds only get in the way, regardless of level. Sometimes heroes with evil natures are summoned. They not only disrupt the waiting room order, but also reduce dungeon efficiency. In other words, they are trash that needs to be eliminated. She wanted to object, but didn't know what to say. But the only option now was battle. Open the duel room. The notification appeared. 1-star Seo Jin challenges 3-star Avant to a duel. Tips. Duels are the way to resolve conflicts between heroes. With the consent of both teams, they can bet on special conditions. Avant was surprised by his determination. I've never met anyone as crazy as you. What did we do wrong for you to go this far? Seo Jin's reply carried no embellishment or exaggeration, only coldness and disgust. Because you're just trash that needs to be eliminated. Nobody wants you here. Earlier you asked about the area's population. That's because it would be extremely troublesome if someone strong enough appeared to deal with you. That is your fear. With the newly summoned 1-stars, they weren't enough to satisfy you either. Am I right? Avant sneered. Oh, so you mean you're ready to be sacrificed? Feeling worried, Jenna asked Seo Jin, what will happen? Nothing complicated. He calmly replied, I win. I absorb him. He wins. He absorbs me. Right then, 3-star Avant accepted the duel. The wager condition of each hero was synthesis. Agreed. Clutching his sword tightly, Avant was ready for a life or death fight. Let's play. Seo Jin was now completely ready. Let the duel begin. The system board appeared. Only master whatever's consent was needed. The choice of Avant 3-star had already accepted the duel. The keyword the heroes wagered was synthesis. Do you agree? Detecting no trace of fear from Seo Jin, Avant smirked. Interesting. Unexpectedly, whatever, afraid of losing a newly summoned hero, refused to allow the duel to proceed. This made him extremely annoyed. Waitiver was just a coward, right? Then he turned and asked Jenna, take those guys into the mansion. She couldn't help but worry for Seo Jin. After all, Avant was a 3-star hero. Could he really handle it alone? He smirked and asked her back. Do you think I will lose? This confidence of Seo Jin reassured her somewhat. True. Finally, Master Whatever agreed to let the duel happen. The duel between Seo Jin 1-star and Avant 3-star would begin right now. Seo Jin coldly stated the rules before starting. It ends when one of us surrenders. Do you agree? Avant responded with a scornful smile. As you wish. I will not kill you. After all, I still need a fresh sacrifice. Only one last preparation remained. A step only Usul could do. Usul, conceal us. Don't let that guy interfere in this duel. She felt uneasy for him. Will you be all right? Seeing his opponent careless as if no one was around, Avant flew straight at Seo Jin to end it quickly. You fool. It started, and you haven't even drawn your sword. If one only looked at stats, facing this guy was not a good idea. He was at level 2, strength stat nearly reaching 20, and his novice swordsmanship had risen to stage 3. However, Seo Jin had entered frenzy mode, all his stats rising faster than hyperinflation in Zimbabwe. Don't get arrogant over a tiny level gap. In an instant, Avant's sword swung through the space where Seo Jin had been. Seo Jin had already appeared behind him. Easily, Avent's arm was seized tightly by Seo Jin. Next was his head. Avent was now completely helpless. Seo Jin mercilessly slammed his head into the hard ground. The stone shattered under his force. His body was submerged in pain, blood flowing endlessly. The game had just begun. Seo Jin now finally drew his sword. Twirling it in his hand, he calmly told Avent, "This thing is quite perfect for dealing with fools ignorant of their place." Immediately, the blade pierced his shoulder, making him scream in agony. "If you move stupidly like that again, you'll die right away." Wearing a crazed smile, Seo Jin whispered into Avent's ear, "Say surrender." He tried to comply but lacked the strength to speak louder, "Aye, sir." Not letting him catch his breath, Seo Jin stomped on the sword, driving it deeper into flesh and bone. Seeing their captain beaten to a pulp, Wave tried to plead, "Stop. We've lost. Let Avent go." Seo Jin not only refused but pressed the sword harder. "Let him go. Did you ever think of letting someone go when you are full of the urge to devour them?" This struck his heart. "That has nothing to do with it." Seo Jin's eyes were filled with killing intent. "I have no interest in kindergarten squabbles. If I say it's relevant, then it is. This is a duel we both agreed to. What are you interfering for? Stopping or not is for the participants to decide. It stops when the loser admits defeat." Avent tried to speak, but was instantly silenced by Seo Jin gripping his mouth. "But if he says nothing, it won't end." Fear was insufficient to describe his eyes. "This guy is my prey now. Don't worry about his life or death. Just go sleep." Unable to endure, Bainin gripped his twin blades and threatened, "You lunatic. You think you'll live well after this? Do you know who we are?" Seo Jin was unfazed before these empty threats. "Aren't you supposed to be the Wolf Mane mercenaries, Edith? Are you sure they're really Wolf Mane mercenaries?" Edith stammered before replying. That was their name in the past, but now they're just. Not letting her continue, Seo Jin snapped straight at the Wolf Manes. "Now you're just a bunch of thug bandits, with the way you wander and treat everyone like that. Why are you still lingering around them?" Edith replied nervously, "I'm only following my father's orders." He patiently persuaded her, "Edith, think carefully. Do you plan to side with this trash, or do you want to join us?" She was left speechless. Seeing his comrade clearly wavering, Jake was furious. "You dare show your ass to the enemy? Do you want to die that badly?" Seo Jin complained with irritation. "These mediocrities shout too much." His contemptuous attitude adding fuel to the fire. "Bastard." While they argued, Avent tried to grab his fallen sword. "Edith, you know what happens to traitors in the end, right?" Jake's words were drowned out as Seo Jin smashed Avent's head to the stone again. "The end of trash like you will be like this. Join my team, I need another, and this situation is quite convenient for you." Jaken could only scream in helpless rage. "You know the price of betrayal, Edith." Her legs trembled, an inner struggle raging as fierce as the outer fight. "Edith." Her eyes closed tight. What would she choose? At last her eyes opened wide. The decision was made. Seo Jin smiled in satisfaction. "That's right. Everyone needs to follow the right person. You chose well." Edith 3-star has left the Wolf Mane mercenaries. The Wolf Mane mercenaries have disbanded. Without delay, he drove the mutts away. "I have no reason to see you anymore. Get lost." The Wolf Manes stood frozen. "Bastard." Avent had begun to give up. "I surrender." Yet it seemed Seo Jin still wanted to play more. "Are you sure you'll be fine after surrendering?" "I swear I'll devour you alive eventually." The situation was too unfavorable for him. "NGH, you'll regret crossing me." Hearing this was tiresome. He grew bored. "You're starting to annoy me. Surrender quickly." The Wolf Manes couldn't stand it anymore and charged. "Bastard." Seeing this, Ussel blocked to stop them. "The duel isn't over. You can't interfere." Ignoring her, they cursed and charged like rabid dogs. "Out of the way, you rat, bitch. If you interfere, I'll kill you too." For some reason they shoved their heads into the snare. Seo Jin muttered, "Fine then, two stupid bastards, farewell." Ussel erupted in fury. "You won't get a second chance." Instantly their bodies exploded one by one, flesh and blood spraying everywhere. "I told you not to interfere." All three heroes returned to the embrace of the goddess, their fighting spirit eternally remembered. Cause of death: sudden cardiac arrest from stress. cheering excitedly. Usul asked Seo Jin. Loki, what do you think? Was I cool? How did I do? Was it good? He praised her. You did well. Everything was over. Haven't surrendered. I give up. Duel complete. Seo Jin 1-star exited frenzy state. Holding his head in pain, he thought, what a headache. Is this a side effect of frenzy? I should limit using it unless in true life or death battles. Seo Jin 1-star defeated Avent 3-star in the duel. Avent will be synthesized. Now the master was helplessly pressing his phone. Usul grew worried. Master just keeps tapping the screen. Without much concern, Seo Jin calmly held Avent's head in hand. He wanted to cancel the synthesis. He shouldn't have agreed to the duel in the first place. Doesn't even seem aware of the duel system's existence. Truly a clueless newbie spender. Stupid. Seo Jin 1-star leveled up. Novice sword and shield proficiency and pain resistance were enhanced. He exclaimed generously. Not a bad feeling. Meanwhile, Usul still felt uneasy. What now? Will Master quit the game? With the newly summoned 3 stars from Premium Pack already sent to Salt before selection, surely he'll be bitter. Now only 1 stars remain. Seo Jin quickly reassured her. If he were to quit, he would have done so when I synthesized away a 4-star hero at the start. At that moment, the system message appeared. Hero has reached maximum level cap. If you wish to level further, you must increase your rank. Stepping into the synthesis chamber, Seo Jin reflected. Sad, isn't it? From the way he summoned 10 times for free to save money. Now after his first recharge, all his 3 stars are gone. Truly unlucky master. With scum like them around, the waiting room cannot function normally. Master might thank me later. They were just strong with no brains. Seo Jin was currently level 10, capable of star up through synthesis. He was also MVP in most battles. If that guy were dumb enough to cause trouble now, climbing the tower would be impossible. Hey, waitiver, what will you do? If you want to face me, then do it decisively. With the main wolves having been sent down to the underworld, peace was finally restored to the waiting hall. With the job done, Seo Jin went into the common house to rest. At that moment, he was greeted by all the surviving 1-star heroes. Everyone was so stunned they couldn't say a word, until Dika excitedly cheered. Boss, you're amazing. Knowing exactly who was behind this, Seo Jin walked over to Jenna and pinched her cheek. What the hell is this? Jenna, did you do these things? I told you not to say unnecessary stuff, didn't I? She squealed in pain while still acting innocent. Oh, I was just telling the truth though. Really can't control Jenna's mouth. Enough already. Seeing that he didn't seem too grumpy, Jeffrey immediately changed his attitude. Mr. Seo Jin, we heard it all, thank you, about those guys with swords threatening to kill us earlier. That's right, they were truly bad people. Seo Jin only sighed in response. Looks like you've misunderstood something. Even so, Jeffrey kept being friendly. We all know already, we're not that shameless, and we still want to thank you, because you saved our lives. From now on we will not wanting to hear his rambling. Seo Jin cut him off. I only save newcomers. This has nothing to do with you guys. His words left Jeffrey puzzled. What do you mean by that? Seo Jin only gave a cold smile. The master is furious right now. As soon as he said it, everyone heard Usul giving orders from afar. Lewis, Jeffrey, Owen, Andio, Arnold, and Duncan, you 6, get outside, in front of me, right now. After the duel between Seo Jin and Avent, Jeffrey had quickly read the situation, which is why he changed his attitude so fast. And now he tried to reassure those who had been called. Everyone calm down. It's fine, just the usual. We're just going goblin hunting. Even Jenna couldn't guess the master's next move. In normal formation, master would only call 5. But just now he called 6. No one knew why. Without hiding it, Seo Jin answered everyone briefly. What else? For synthesis. The 1-star heroes just called were shocked with mouths wide open. Jeffrey immediately protested. What do you mean? We tried our best. He was truly shameless. Seo Jin turned to Aaron and Dika. If that's true then, do you two think they worked that hard? When you sweat blood all day at the training ground, what were they doing? Jenna, have they ever helped you hunt beasts? It seemed like an easy question, but Jenna had to think long before recalling. I think they helped me carry the meat and hides I brought back. A bunch of heroes, and their most useful task was carrying loads. Even livestock can haul things. Looks like your worth is about the same as cattle, isn't it? Hearing that, Andio felt insulted. What do you mean by cattle? But what could he even do? Seo Jin rewarded him with a straight kick to the mouth. Stop yapping. Losing patience, Usul flew straight at the chosen heroes. I said get to the town square right now. Didn't you hear me? I let you off once, not so you can mock me. Their fear reached its peak. Jeffrey tried to beg, please help us. Master will listen to your words. Jenna wondered curiously, who will Master synthesize them into? In Seo Jin's mind, there was already a fitting choice. Surely Edith. Since she had just been summoned, she was still at low level, so that would be the best option. The whining pleas made Usul extremely annoyed. I'm not going. I said I'm not going. One more chance. Please give me one more chance. In an instant, the selected 1-star heroes were synthesized. Edith 3-star leveled up, learned the disarm skill. Edith stepped out with her new power. Seo Jin reminded the newcomers. Whoever you were before coming here doesn't matter. Don't think others will carry you. Don't expect anyone to protect you. If you want to live, then prove your own value. Hearing him, they were aghast, mouths wide open in horror. Jenin clung to her arms, trembling. I have no talent in combat. Even holding a sword, my hands shake like this. What should I do now? Do you want me to die? Turning toward the support members, Seo Jin made a request for them. Chloe, Enoch, Walter, Patrick, if someone suits you, then teach them your craft. Walter was uneasy. Smithing isn't something you learn in a day or two. However, Seo Jin reassured him confidently. If they have the will, they'll learn on their own. If any of them try to pick a fight with you, just tell me. I'll smash them to pieces. If you want to learn hunting and meat prep, then go to Jenna. For woodworking, then to Enoch. There are plenty of ways to survive. It's just you haven't been doing anything useful. The system board appeared. Master. Confirm synthesis completion. Well then, goodbye, Master. Jenna tagged along as Seo Jin left the building. You're really kind, she said. He brushed her off. Me? You're funny. But Jenna's praise seemed sincere. You taught them how to survive. She wasn't wrong. If they follow his words, they wouldn't die stupidly again. Just now was only because whatever lashed out in anger. But if not today, then tomorrow they would still be eliminated. The 10th floor was approaching them, and then the second party would start to become important. Instead of a side team that's only for show, he would want a party strong enough to rival the first. The next morning, Seo Jin woke up early and wandered to find something to eat. Chloe walked by carrying a basket of bread. Good morning, Seo Jin. Curious, he asked. What's this? Bread? This lady told me she used to be a baker. He bit into the bread heartily. I don't recall us having flour in the storeroom, Chloe happily explained. She made it by grinding potatoes into flour. That's great. This made Seo Jin very pleased. The more food variety we have, the lower the stress level in the waiting hall. Surely there must be wheat flour in the daily dungeons, Sinmiral Highlands. You two can tell the others to go get it themselves. Leaving the kitchen, he went to find Edith to start training. Edith, come to the training yard with me. They headed there. Jenna had already been practicing archery for a while. Then he called her over for a favor. Jenna, spar with Edith for me. Use daggers. She complained. My usual weapon is the bow. Seo Jin brushed it aside. Stop whining. Immediately she spun a dagger in the air. Again, this wasn't her usual weapon. But she gripped both daggers and rushed at Edith with confident poise. A 1-star overwhelming a 3-star. Higher potential doesn't always defeat lower with higher level. Edith was forced back, unable to advance. How could a child be this strong? Meanwhile, Jenna pressed on like a storm. I'm not a child, look at me, clearly grown already. Finally, Edith began to counterattack. Both of them clashed like a whirlwind, a storm of strength and speed. Breathless, Edith was beaten ragged. Sitting on the ground in defeat, she was stunned by Jenna's skill. Were you mercenaries once, or part of some famous martial clan? She proudly replied, not at all. I'm just the daughter of an ordinary hunter. At first, we weren't this strong. We were definitely weaker than you. Stepping closer, Seo Jin analyzed. If those idiots hadn't wasted time and instead worked hard to strengthen themselves, I'd have been in trouble. Edith, right now you may be weaker than us, but you have superior skills and your leveling speed is faster than us 1-stars. Just keep leveling up and you'll catch us soon enough. In the distance, Aaron lamented while training desperately. Herding chickens all day. My body's breaking down yet I can't catch up. Seo-jin sighed then continued. Anyway, how strong you get depends on how hard you work. Don't get lazy with training. No matter who you were before, Edith smiled with determination. I'll remember this. On the training ground, Dayak tied a rope around his waist, dragging a sack while running laps to train. Seo-jin thought to himself, everyone seems to have become aware of the situation. He and the others furiously slashed at the training dummies. They had been practicing harder. Of course, no one can help them. Here, if you have no value, you will be eliminated. He carefully calculated, his eyes drifting elsewhere. However, those who truly persist will not be many. Even support jobs like carpentry or blacksmithing. If they cannot do them well, they will soon be fused. He noticed a strange young man training nearby. Seo-jin walked over and called, "You." The person panting turned back. "Did you call me?" he asked. "What's your name?" Ursher introduced himself. "My name is Roderick. I was just transferred here in the latest summoning wave. What you told everyone yesterday, I already heard." He picked up a stick and remarked, "You look fine. What did you do before coming here?" Without thinking much he replied, "I was a porter in a mercenary group. I carried luggage, stood guard or set up camp." Seo-jin was surprised. "Doing those things, but you look like you know how to fight." "Huh?" He gave a wry smile and answered, "Because I wanted to become a mercenary." A mysterious smile appeared on Seo-jin's face. He pointed a wooden sword at Ursher, challenging him. "Then pick up a sword. Let's see if you can become a mercenary." After a brief silence, he shouted loudly, "Fine." The stone gate of the dungeon stood tall in the night. That evening, the time to test the new recruit began. The master did not care whether he needed helpers or not. Aaron volunteered to participate, but was refused. 2 people died. 2 nameplates shattered, signaling those eliminated. And 2 more were fused. Roderick was fused and leveled up to 3. The others went into the dungeon as usual. Facing the Forest King were 2 people. One fought with a sword, the other ran away frantically. The mine that could yield fire attribute stones remained closed. Wind blew fallen leaves in the fortress, and at dawn that day, Seo-jin's group gathered again. Jenna put her hands on her hips complaining, "Why dawn again? I'm so sleepy." He gestured for silence, then asked them, "SHH, does anyone know the reason I called you here?" All of them looked dumbfounded. Clearly no one knew what he was talking about. Dika hesitantly raised his hand in the astonishment of the others to choose members. Jenna suddenly exclaimed, "Isn't the master the one who chooses the team?" Seo-jin calmly spoke. "I can propose a few things. Even the master cannot refuse." He picked up a cup containing some wooden lots, and now, the group watched his actions. Seo-jin smiled, his blue eyes flashing. "We will draw lots." Holding the cup in hand, he explained to everyone, "We will choose teams by drawing lots. There are 6 people, so we will divide into 2 teams of 3. Dika was nervous, worrying he wouldn't be chosen, but he immediately reassured, "Relax, I won't abandon anyone." He continued assigning, 2 people will be captains. I'm 1. Edith is 2. Edith was stunned. "Me." Her voice weakened, lacking confidence, while Jenna protested, "What about me? I'm good too." He immediately refused. "Jenna not allowed." Jenna shouted in dissatisfaction, "What about me? I'm good too." She anxiously looked at him. "But why split into 2 teams? If one team dies, or the strong ones are all in one team, then what? Wouldn't we lack people?" Seo-jin calmly clarified the coming situation for her. "The master will handle that." His memory recalled the previous battle, the 5th floor as an example. The strength gap among members was too large, and the whole team was in danger because Zid and Hansen couldn't keep up. There was no need to split into many teams if one team could clear the floor alone. But afterward more people were needed for missions. In special missions perhaps 10 or even 100 people would be required, and it would be troublesome if enough members were not nurtured. Also, a backup team was needed if the main team was wiped out. Before, he chose randomly, but now there were summoning rules. Hopefully Water had learned already. He held 2 red and blue lots to divide teams, red with me, blue with Edith. Don't be happy or sad. With me or Edith, it's the same. The cup was set down hard on the ground. Draw. Wind blew up dust across the training ground. Jenna held her lot shouting, red here, if it was blue I'd be sad. While Aaron standing beside her looked calm, I got red too. Then no need to check the remaining lots. Dika and Ursher looked nervously at each other. Edith helplessly told them, look at your faces. Seems I'm not very reliable, huh? Dika startled defended, ah, that's not it, just. But before finishing his words she cut him off. I know. She smiled bitterly and sighed. I haven't been here long. I also don't have much combat experience. Her sharp eyes quietly glanced elsewhere, thinking, objectively the power gap is too big, but it can't be helped. Seo Jin's red team confidently smiled at them. Edith, you'll be left behind if you can't keep up. She wasn't backing down, though still worried her bearing matched his. Of course, yesterday I saw them get fused. Don't worry, we won't lose. The system popped up a message. Hero is proposing a fixed team. The system's cardboard appeared. Team 1 consisted of 3 people: Jenna, Seo Jin and Aaron. Team 2 had Ursher, Edith and Dika. At the bottom there was also a system note. Sometimes heroes will propose. Masters will choose whether to accept. Choose carefully. Heavy rain poured down on the dungeon. Lightning flashed, illuminating a corner where monsters were waiting inside. Floor 7. Mission: suppress. Eliminate 13 goblins. LV 8. The red team stood under the rain facing the goblins. Aaron excitedly shouted, great, seems easy. Seo Jin stepped forward, drawing the sword from his back. Just stand there and watch. I will kill them all myself. The sharp-fanged mouths of the monsters opened wide, roaring. They all rushed with weapons toward him. Seo Jin took a deep breath. A bloody red aura of power enveloped him. He had entered berserk state. The sharp blade split the goblins in half. True to the state's name, Seo Jin like a beast rushed in, slaughtering the monsters non-stop. With just one slide, he cut them into heaps of meat. One last goblin remained, trembling before absolute strength and brutality of its foe. But Seo Jin did not touch it. He sheathed his sword and turned off berserk. Jenna asked his opinion, should I finish it? He had another thought. High chance this mission is a chain quest, so it can't be completed right away. He refused her offer. Leave it. Just one left, it won't do anything. Let's start searching. He began analyzing the current situation. The first strange thing, it was raining. Second, there was a river. And third, standing before the river looking at the nearby rock ledge. Was there once a dam here? The system board popped up. Complete. Aaron leveled up. MVP Han, rewards 1 Vizizes in gold, 5 iron ores and 6 hides. The group of 3 left the dungeon. Jenna called Seo Jin. Hey, today we're done right. I'm going to bathe. He indifferently replied, do whatever you want. Aaron, what will you do? He answered, I'll go to the training ground. In return, Seo Jin reminded, don't overdo it. You'll ruin your body. Suddenly he froze. Seo Jin stopped and called Aaron. Aaron, don't go. He was puzzled. Huh. The system announced Master recharged VIP again. You have chosen the new power pack. Includes 5,000 gems and 1,000 gold. Only costs $70. This was the 3rd time Water spent money. The system cheerfully displayed, if you want something then pay. Mobius respects your decision. Seo Jin coldly ordered, Fena, bring the drawing paper from my room. Put it on the table. Aaron, bring Edith here. Aaron didn't understand, but obeyed. Okay. The system announced recharge successful. Someone shouted at the summoning gate. New people are coming. The system again displayed the board as usual. Master, start limited summon. You have chosen double limited summon. We'll use 1,000 gems. Do you want to summon? Do you want to summon? At the moment the system finished speaking, Seo Jin raised his firm voice. Aaron, you stay here. He was momentarily stunned and then confusedly asked, what? He sternly ordered, instead take Edith with you. Aaron was taken aback, then replied, all right. Right then, the system displayed a notification panel. The required amount will be added to next month's phone bill. You will pay the amount. Immediately after pressing yes, there came another message. Payment complete. The item has been sent to your mailbox. Please check. Facing this situation, Seo Jin easily understood. Soon someone new would arrive here. The system frame once again appeared. Advanced Master Summoning is about to begin. You have chosen 2 advanced summons consuming 1,000 gems, Seo Jin thought to himself. Though there are some people who never spend money to win, no one pays money just to win once. When first starting Pick Me Up, players are often attracted by observing artificial intelligence's granted autonomy to the heroes. The process of watching the heroes' reactions when clearing stages or infusion chambers was quite entertaining. Through the enjoyment of observing heroes or assisting them in passing stages by giving orders and guidance. From there, players would consider strategies as well as tactics. There would be PvP modes, requiring different players to compete. Above all, the higher you climb and the more you upgrade the lobby, the more content will appear, leading to the hero's behaviors gradually changing. Playing around with lives like that is very interesting. The platform rang out with the news, Advanced Master Summoning is about to begin. I am very much looking forward to which hero will be summoned. A series of sounds echoed one after another through the space. The system urgently announced. Master Waitiver has just successfully summoned 3-star rares Evolka and Roderick. Roderick looked around this place. His brows furrowed tightly, then he asked sternly, "Who are you people?" Meanwhile, Evolka seemed panicked by what she did not yet understand and confusedly said, "This is..." Immediately after that, Y abruptly froze, her knees gave out and buckled. Evolka suddenly collapsed to her knees before Seo Jin, her face filled with bewilderment mixed with dread. Jenna was stepping forward, but also froze in her tracks. "I carry much. Who is this? What is she doing down there? Is she hurt?" Seo Jin's cold, indifferent voice glanced over. "Don't mind her. She can stand up if she wants to. What outfit is this? She isn't hurt, she's embarrassed." At that moment Edith came over and spoke. "She is a noble." He raised his eyebrows slightly. "Noble?" She continued speaking. "You know, with my experience as a mercenary, I think she is a noble lady. No idea why she's here." While Evoka's face flushed red with shame to the point she couldn't stand up. The scene opened up to reveal a vast castle divided into many areas. Roderick somewhat understood the core concepts of master, summoning and fusion. Yet he had no knowledge at all about levels or skills. Though known as a guardian of a great city, Roderick had no distinct traits other than always being conscious of responsibility. Roderick furrowed his brows slightly, his face full of suspicion. "I always feel as though I am obliged to do something, like under hypnosis. Do I perhaps need to stay here to fight these nameless ones?" Regarding this issue, Seo Jin readily confirmed. "Yes, I will explain after the drawing. Edith and I both need to recruit more people. If you draw the green lot, Roderick will go with you. Otherwise, if it's red, he will go with Evolka." Then he silently considered. A veteran or a noble lady, which is the better choice, is already clear. Seo Jin turned back and gave the order. "Jenna, help me bring the lots." Hearing this, she hurriedly responded and ran over. "Yes, I'm coming right away." The atmosphere was tense as Jenna rushed in with the items. His sharp eyes quickly scanned over. If the lot on the right is red, then the one on the left will be green. Seo Jin glanced at Edith, who was calmly smiling. He cursed inwardly. Damn, it looks like Edith saw it too. Jenna leisurely placed the bowl of lots down. Her even-toned voice rang out. "Here, choose now." Those words were like a spark igniting the upcoming confrontation. The moment the words ended, Seo Jin immediately acted, his eyes flashing sharp as a blade. He silently affirmed, "The lot on the right is red, so the left one is the answer I need." But at that instant another figure was also lunging forward. Evolka indifferently watched the scuffle happening in an instant, then frowned as a formidable aura radiated. The moment flames burst with a red glow reflecting. Seo Jin faltered slightly. Fire magic. 2 hands reached almost simultaneously, so fast it was barely visible to the naked eye. Both seized a lot at the same time. The air grew tense. Seo Jin's and Edith's eyes met. They both knew the other had also seen the lot. He growled, "Why don't you let go?" She only smirked in response, "Dream on." Then he tilted his head glancing, his voice sharp like an arrow shot straight at Yaukla. "You're a mage." As the words fell, information on Evolker Rivelstracker 3-star appeared along with intermediate fire magic skill. This is a brief introduction about me. Both Seo Jin and Edith lunged into a tug of war, neither willing to yield. Do a good deed once, the mage suits my team more. Seo Jin raised his brows. Pity, I've never been a good person. In Pick Me Up, warriors or thieves can be raised up to 1 star through nurturing. But mages are individuals that can only be obtained via summoning, with extremely low rates. Meanwhile, Evolka began hesitating. This place. Snapping out of her thoughts, the scene before her made flames burst forth with Evolka's anger. "Hey, what are you two doing? Not fun at all. I'm not some specimen for you to appraise." Jenna angrily spoke. "Now I realize, did you two peek at the lot, cheaters?" She sternly said, "Drawing lots should rely on luck." Then came the back and forth between Seo Jin and starting with Evolka. "What are you people doing? We are deciding which team you'll join. Then which team will I be in? Compared to the man next to you, you're rather slow in grasping the situation." Those words immediately made Y furious. Clenching her teeth in response, "Grasp the situation, my ass. I was just dragged into a strange place." Roderick glanced over, his eyes stern as he spoke in a low voice. "Think carefully." That statement was like a heavy boulder silencing Evolka. Seeing her quiet, he said, "You understand now, right?" At this moment Evolka's face turned pale, and she clearly realized, this is not good at all, contrary to her panic. He nodded calmly, "I agree." Jenna angrily declared, "All right, this time no cheating, let luck decide fairly." Seo Jin raised a brow. "Since when is luck fair?" She immediately glared, "Don't you talk back." He didn't reply, only glanced at Edith. "All right then, no matter the result, don't be upset." She just smiled, "Of course." That moment, the atmosphere taut like a string pulled to its limit. Both Seo Jin and Edith simultaneously reached for the lots under Jenna's gaze. In the suffocating tension, each of them now had their choice in hand. He smiled and with eyes full of smugness spoke with the result in his hand. "Decided then, any more complaints?" Then Seo Jin declared loudly, "Evolka, you'll be in my team." As soon as the words ended, the confirmation panel appeared. Evolka has successfully joined Team 1. Roderick has successfully joined Team 2. Assel clutched tightly onto Jenin's hand, making him annoyed, and he shouted, "Leave me alone." But she screamed towards Jenna, "Come here quickly." His face twisted in rage, he yelled, "Lord Han, didn't you say you would let us live if we worked hard? This is too much." That scream gradually tore apart the heavy atmosphere. Cutting through those words was Essel's shrill scream, "Shut up and get over here. You mage who just joined the team, hurry and come here." Seo Jin frowned at him. "He can't learn any support skills. Evolka, go over there." Seo Jin's gaze suddenly turned ruthless, his cold voice, "Unless you want to fail and become something disgusting like them." At that instant, the system board lit up with news that Yan and Jenin had been fused, along with Evolka's 3-star card upgrading. Finally, after this shocking scene, only Y silently walked out, not knowing what to do. Meanwhile, Seo Jin remained indifferent, each heavy word falling. "You will end up the same if you fall behind." The scene of Assel crazily seizing others appeared vividly before them, his cold voice full of menace. "There's no avoiding the risk of fusion. If you want to live, the only way is to strive harder." Roderick stood silently beside, his eyes carrying some heavy burden. Then he sighed, "Truly brutal." Seo Jin immediately cut in, "Now it's your turn. They are your fusion materials." At the same time came the wailing cries ripping through the silence, "Help me." The dilapidated building setting made the atmosphere even more suffocating, along with the system board showing Roderick has leveled up. Standing before the gate radiating a green light wanting to engulf everything, OSL appeared and chanted, "Spatial rift, open." Evolka, bewildered, exclaimed in astonishment, "This is..." Seo Jin glanced over, speaking indifferently, "He is testing the new member's ability." The system rang out, "Team 2 enter the spatial rift." Edith looked back without hesitation and spoke, "Follow me." You will be the main character in this battle. Roderick clenched his fists then nodded. I understand. As the figure entered the rift, Seo Jin suddenly raised his cold voice. Hey mage, what spells can you use? Hearing this, Ivolka showed displeasure, frowned and snapped. Why are you asking? His eyes instantly turned serious, his voice heavy resonating. Just answer. You don't want to fight anymore? Those words were like a knife making Y terrified, panic rising inside. Why must I go in there? He answered casually. Didn't you come here to fight? Hearing that, Y furiously retorted, it's so frustrating, having to fight in a strange place without even knowing why. Seo Jin only emphasized each word like hammering directly into her ears. You need a reason to fight. If you don't fight, you'll become fusion material like the guy you just absorbed. So I'll ask you again, what spells can you use? Spells can you use?